Look at that. We're live. Hello there and welcome to a special SWTVC live stream to celebrate and or lament 2024 and look ahead to 2025. It's been a while, you guys. I'm Evan and I am joined today by my SWTVC teammates Tyler and Space Hut, and today a very special guest. Toys Are the Way. You know him. You love him. He does great stuff on YouTube and Instagram. Follow him right now. No, wait till after the stream and then follow him. Keep watching. But yeah, how you guys doing?
Really good.
Yeah. Great.
Can't believe it's been this long.
Yeah, our last stream was, I think we were just chatting about it before we went live, was back in March.
Which incidentally, it was probably the last time I got a figure from Hasbro, I think.
But yeah. So heads up, I'm having some internet issues today. So if I just drop out, keep on going, business as usual. Apologies in advance, but we'll try to keep things going pretty smoothly. These three fine gentlemen with me, you guys know how to keep things moving along. Let's see who we got in the chat today. Oh,
Mr. Lee is in the chat.
What?
What's he doing in there?
A chorus for Jeruis.
Yep. All right.
That's how it's technically pronounced.
Ben Swallow Collector, Greedo Collection, Nicholas H. Wow, waking up, man.
Wow.
And there's me moaning about a late night chat.
Cameo appearance from a mustache. Where?
Yeah.
Why aren't you here? But yeah.
Where's that?
I'll Runner Base. Yes, chorus for Joris. My buddy TJ. How you doing, man? Dean.
Hey, Dean.
Aqualish Doug. All right, familiar names. All righty. Well, hey, let's see what. Oh, well, one, thank you so much, Riley Bob. Merry Ghostmas, yes.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome.
I love that a lot. What a difference a day makes. Yeah, speaking of days, I feel like every morning I'm opening my FedEx app, just being like, have they moved yet? Are they coming? Are they showing up?
Nope.
But
no, they sure are not.
Yeah, that's okay though, because that gives me extra time to kind of figure out my game plan of when do I need to make sure I'm home from work? When do I need to go get a 50 from the bank so I can put it in an envelope and give it to the delivery driver as an apology for having to lug 5 of those things up to my doorstep. Mistakes have been made, but you know what? Happy mistakes. We're good. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, mail call. Listen, lots of stuff is hitting this season. I know we've all gotten E-Wings and hallways and forges galore. And yes, the Ghost is about to ship. And actually, it's already shipping to some folks in Europe. Lewis, I think yours is in transit.
It shipped yesterday, I think it was. So normally over here, it takes no more than 2 days. I mean, it's Christmas time. It could take a bit longer, but I would expect it by Tuesday, really.
Okay. Yeah.
Better
lucky.
be.
Yeah. We're Tyler, I see you have a note here that doesn't seem we'll be hitting that fall 2024 window after all for some of us here in the States, because what was it that they said, well, actually fall runs until December 21st, and we're like, nah, okay, I guess that's true. Alas.
Well, you've got a week to meet that deadline and thousands of ghosts to ship. I don't believe anyone in the United States has received one yet. So you might want to get cracking on that, Hasbro, if you're going to keep your word. Doesn't look very promising.
They're going to overnight 17,000 ghosts.
Hey, I'd be here for that.
It's also just, Return of the Jody posted this on Instagram and I reposted it. It's really poor planning to ship a 50-pound ginormous box during the busiest mailing season of the year.
Yeah.
These are going to get dinged up. They're going to get left on people's porches in the freaking snow. I mean, it's a disaster. It's why would you do that? Why? I don't get it.
Yeah, I will at least I've had some issues with FedEx lately, but I will at least say I'm glad that it is FedEx so that you can kind of at least attempt to do some kind of delivery management and be somewhat aware of where it's at. No, this is not sponsored by FedEx. I am not paid by FedEx. I have words for FedEx, but yeah, I'm quite worried about that. It's like, I live in Wyoming. It's the tundra. We get feet of snow and it's howling wind to the point where the other night I woke up in the middle of the night and had to go make sure that the upper level of my house was still attached because it sounded so windy. I don't want my ghosts out there.
Yeah.
It'll also be a little bit of a missed opportunity to not get it to people just before Christmas, because I think that would be great if people could just physically have that holiday season, just this nice big thing to actually feel like you've treated yourself for Christmas, perhaps. But yeah, I think that would have been perfect timing in some ways.
Yeah, and that would have been a fun Christmas thing. Sorry, no, you're good, Tyler. Mine was just dumb and schmaltzy. You're good.
No, I was just gonna say I was really hoping for like months that for this stream my ghost would be sitting right up there, where those X-wings are, and those X-wings would move down there to where the Tantive set is, and it's not here. And I'm moving soon, so I gotta tear down my entire collection room, and it's such a bummer that it's not able to be present for this stream because it would have made a gorgeous backdrop. But
here we go.
Whatever, I guess. There's gonna be a lot of streams. I'm sorry, this stream isn't gonna be all rainbows and unicorns.
What are you talking about? 2024 has just been a record year.
Just the best year.
Look at all the smiles on our faces. But yeah,
there's
so
some good stuff to talk about too. But
there is. Let's see. I know, just kind of looking at this, we touched on them all. We don't really need to get into all the nitty gritty. Lewis, I know you got the Christmas droids.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I mean, who doesn't love that? I mean, come on. I'm not saying I want Hasbro to start making Star Wars figures look like, Stormtroopers with Christmas jumpers and things like that.
They already do that for
they're really good fun. And I know some people I think I got this in October, and I deliberately held off because I wanted to open it piece by piece. And I think it's a really good fun way of just experiencing your Star Wars figures through Christmas. And I don't know, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah, harmless fun that doesn't come out of the TVC budget is always okay by me.
Exactly.
Dovetailing off of budget, let's kind of talk about recent reveals then. John and I recently caught up on all the reveals we missed during our months-long absence in the episode, quote, Return of the Podcast. You can find that on this very YouTube channel. But since then, there has been a couple of reveals during Hasbro's Gift the Galaxy promotion. The first one being this. IG-12, Grogu, and Zelen. Don't get me started on how much I hate that as the name pill. But yes. Where's the paint? Kidding, kinda. Thoughts? Open to the floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Can I just ask, Evan, though, your categorization of figures in the past has always been, if a name is on a name pill, then it counts as a figure.
Yep.
So where does it leave us with this one?
This is a good old three-pack of one newly tooled figure, one partial tool, and maybe two partial tools. Look at all that newness. 3-in-1. No way. Sign me up. $24.99. What a steal. No. Yeah, those are accessories. I'm sorry.
I'll let Tyler rant on this one. I think he's
I can feel him just building up like a steam engine ready to go.
So look, we get told that one of the justifications or reasoning for the deluxe price point is paint deco, right? We constantly get told paint deco is super expensive. Okay, so where's the paint?
There's some.
I mean, there's
yellow.
There's some, but
there's white in his eye.
You can't say that we're charging you a deluxe price point because of paint apps and then turn around and not paint the figure appropriately. I usually try to give Hasbro the benefit of the doubt on stuff like this, but I have to concede the deluxe price point in situations like this kind of seems like a scam.
Yeah.
There's more we have to talk about as far as deluxes and packaging later, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would add, sorry, Evan,
No,
I would add that as a figure and as a character, when we saw this on season 3, Mandalorian, it was a figure that I thought, yeah, that'd be amazing. It'd be great. We can get little Grogu in there. We can get him driving around. It's kind of one of those figures that we all wanted. So I don't think the actual choice of what it is bad. And I think the fact that Anzelin in there as well, I think is great. I know a lot of people have kind of said perhaps there should have been more than one. You could argue that, justify price. So I'm kind of happy to see what's there. I think it's just the packaging and this deluxe thing, which I'm struggling to understand. I mean, IG-12 wasn't deluxe when he came on a TVC card previously. And okay, he's got an Anzelin and he's got a Grogu thrown in there, but does that make that much of a difference? I don't know. Okay, he's been retooled as well. It's not the same figure, but it just feels too different and not enough to justify it as a deluxe figure.
That's the other thing, is there's some existing tooling here too. Right? So it's not like this is an all new figure like Zeb.
Yeah.
I'll say I actually really like this figure because I'm actually impressed that they were able to make the chassis something that you can put Grogu in and out of.
Yeah, removable.
Originally,
I do agree with that.
In there.
Yeah,
that would have been kind of lame. Like I like that ability.
That looks
to take
fun.
In and out. That's great. I also am curious. Do you remember a while ago they were saying that like, oh, DC 186 Boba Fett was like, a very that figure would be more expensive to do now than we did originally. And I'm kind of curious if they're, not that it's a justification, but like they did say that IG-11 was kind of difficult to get out. I saw some QC issues because the limbs are kind of like thinner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they're like, oh, for us to get that figure out again, it needs to be a higher price point plus a new upper body or whatever. But at a minimum, this thing definitely needed to have the proper paint out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another Anzelin, in my opinion.
I know. What is it? Did the Black Series one have like 2 or 3 Anzelins in it? It had 2.
I think at least 2. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you can currently get that on clearance.
It's on clearance already.
Oh,
didn't it just come out?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you know what? Maybe I'm misspeaking. It might just be a store sale, but plenty of other things are on clearance. So
this IG mold is definitely one of the best figures they have done. It was so effective when it came out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, we heard Chris from Hasbro before saying that there were certain things they couldn't make now, like you were saying with the Boba Fett, but they were talking about FX7, wasn't they, in terms of the limbs just couldn't be done. And this has got incredibly small limbs, but obviously it has been done, so it can be done. And perhaps that is the reasoning behind it. Yeah, like you say, perhaps it's just cost that much to do it. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel like the value's there. Yeah, that's the difficult thing. It's selling it to people.
Also curious when it comes to like assembly of this figure, he does have like a lot of points of articulation. So is that also now factoring in cost? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a lot of little pieces on him.
Because the head has more rotating pieces, right? So
he actually like folds open and stuff. So
Toys are the way. You had mentioned the QC and some issues, because I do remember when the IG-11 had come out initially, the elbows were so thin. It was that gummy, really thin, terrible plastic, and I had a couple samples that started to tear just with even slight use. So I'm a little worried about that. But yeah, that does make me wonder about, does it cost more to make that tiny one? So
same. I was able to like kind of get around that problem on my second IG-11, where I just took like a fresh X-Acto and just ever so slightly like flipped it in there and like kind of just loosened the plastic.
Smart.
So kind of stuck together.
Smart.
But it paid me the not big bucks.
Yeah. That's why we're buying overpriced toys.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, is there anything else we want to say about IG-12? IG-12, Grogu, and Anzelin? No?
I hope that his pulse cannon gun is a firmer plastic this time. Wasn't the first one kind of noodly? If I recall.
Decent.
Yeah,
probably, because most of them are.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember it being specifically as bad as some of the others. But.
I think the years following after is when we started seeing it become a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this would have been a perfect place to put a Melu run as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Throw
another one in there. Mind you, we've got a lot of them now already. How many do we need?
Yeah.
Something to make this worth a $24.
World building.
Yeah. People like Tours of the Way have little, market setups where he's going to have crates full of them. So he needs a lot of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's move on from this one because we did get one more big reveal. Yes, that's correct. The chorus for Joris or Jerus or whatever, who cares, has been answered. They heard us, the Heir to the Empire 3-pack featuring Captain Galad Pelion, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Joris Sabath. Don't make me pronounce these. So yeah, Tyler, you want to take us away? I see you wrote a little manifesto here. Looks like you used at least 3 colors of crayon, so we're good.
Well, it was really tempting to not eat it the entire time. But, yeah, so, I'll try to keep this brief because I know I've said a lot across various sites and pages and my own profile and story, but I'll just reiterate my shock and appreciation for this set. This is by far the most exciting thing that TVC has ever offered for me personally. I mean, just about everything in this set was perfectly executed. From the figures to the beautiful card backs. I really love the card backs, and apparently Emily was very involved in these card backs. That's pretty cool. She said she was more involved than usual with these particular card backs. So that's pretty cool. The only thing I would say is a bit strange is that apparently Sabayoth never used a lightsaber or was described to even have one in the whole book trilogy. So the inclusion of a lightsaber instead of a second lightning hand to emulate the original book cover and his own card back is interesting.
I'm going to stop you right there. Don't ruin this for me, Tyler. I love lightsabers. I need more figures with lightsabers.
I just want to clarify. I'm not mad. It's fine, especially since they included an unlit hilt, which is something they often, just elect not to do. But it is interesting. Did the Black Series one have a lightsaber as well, or did
I was just about to ask?
I'm
not sure. Okay,
I don't recall ever seeing a lightsaber with that.
Because everybody else had lightsabers in that pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I'll agree with Tyler. I would have liked to have the second lightning hand just to recreate.
Go pick up a spare Return of the Jedi Palpatine, and I think it's the same hands.
It is the same.
The problem with the Palpatine hand is kind of like, I don't know.
I will say,
gross and Palpatine looking.
Yeah.
The best lightning hands to this day are still the ones from the Sith Evolutions pack. They have the longest and firmest lightning. Pelion looks phenomenal with the glued hat.
Thank you, Finn. Sorry.
He did have a lightsaber. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the cap on Pelion looks really good. Super exciting character debut. And it is in the likeness of Xander Berkeley, who plays him in The Mandalorian season 3. So that was awesome. But it does come with the unfortunate side effect that you can't take his head off or his hat off and customize him to be a Grand Admiral like he was later after the Thrawn trilogy in the EU.
Some people are just never happy, are they?
But
as someone who never takes his hat off, I'm okay with my figures keeping their hats on.
It's not the end of the world, but,
no,
but I do like to customize sometimes. And like I said, Pelion continued to be a major character in the EU even after the Thrawn trilogy, you know, he led the Empire during the Vong War and allied with the New Republic. So that would have been a cool custom to make, but it is what it is. I will say I wanted to order 8, but it was limit 5. So thanks, Hasbro. No, I'm just kidding.
Gotta get on top of Disney, bro.
Community reception has been really positive for this set, but it still hasn't sold out. So go buy another. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, okay? Even if the figures in this set aren't your thing, and you know you have no idea who Jeruis Sabayoth is, you're like, I don't care about this old guy, right? The point is, if we can make this set sell really well, if we can make it sell out, then that's gonna, you know, raise eyebrows over at Hasbro and make them more likely to make other EU stuff that maybe you are interested in, like Shadows of the Empire, or, you know, Kyle Katarn, or whatever other niche EU thing that you're into. If this set sells really well, if it sells out, that raises the prospects and opportunities for other EU stuff. So just understand that it's not just about this set. It's such a rare treat to get stuff from the EU. So we want to encourage that. So go buy 5 more, everybody.
Yeah.
I
no, think
I'm joking, but we do want this to sell out though. That would be really good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Evan. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's super cool to see the response to this being overwhelmingly positive everywhere, which again, we're all very seasoned Star Wars collectors, Star Wars fans. Boy, how rare is that when pretty much everywhere you go is just like, oh, at worst you see I don't know what this is, but that's neat, as opposed to like, oh my God, I think I'm going to kill myself tomorrow. Like, it's just like, you know, yes, this is great. I love seeing folks come together on that. So I'm excited. I love this pack. I really am. Even Alan Moore in his dorky sandals, give me that. I love it.
It's been a long time since I've seen the community so universally like approve of something and be excited for something. Like the community seemed really jazzed about this, which is it's cool.
I'm convinced that they dropped this a week before we were live streaming because they knew Tyler was going to give them some, and they thought let's just mess with his head a bit because he's really angry, and now we're just going to make him really happy. And so now he's kind of like in this weird kind of place where he wants to moan but he can't. So
exactly. It's hard to moan when you know your dream item is coming, but in the spirit of being a community advocate, I have to be fair and dispassionate, and so there's going to be some criticism in this stream, but there's also going to be some praise in this stream. You know, we try to be balanced and fair, and God, that looks so good.
Yeah. I mean, I will add, I mean, I said I did message Emily and say it's perfect. I didn't really have any more words for it. I just think it's a perfect set, and I thought it was one of those things that we were going to have to shout about to get. I didn't think that TVC would see this anytime soon.
Yeah,
I genuinely thought that it was going to be something we'd have to really push for.
Yes.
And I think, to give again Hasbro that credit, I think they are listening to discussions that are being had. They are listening when people are, you know, looking at the Black Series one and saying, look, we want a set like that. I think that they are picking that up. They're not just listening to the fan polls. It's all the time. Yeah, I think that you know, we've got to give them credit for that.
And there was a lot of outcry when the Black Series got this, because you know 3.75 has existed for 40 something years, and people have wanted Jeruis and Pelion in this scale for since 1991, since the book came out, and to have it offered in the other scale first, there were a lot of cries of agony and jealousy, but they made things right by offering this. And I don't know if that was a direct reaction to the community or if this was always planned. I don't know. I mean, how long has the Black Series one been out? Has it been out like
just
6
a
months or...
few months?
Yeah, not that long. No.
Yeah.
So it can't be a result of community backlash then. Then this was planned.
No, this must be
So,
but I think it was pipelined though, wasn't it? The Black Series one was pipelined, because I remember a long while before. I don't know again how long it was sitting there, but even when it was pipelined, people were making a lot of noise about it. So,
and this is still a few months away. So that puts it in the 18-month window. And not to toot our own horn, but I know we did an episode of the show about Joris and the hard feelings about that 13 months ago. So I think what I'm trying to say is you're welcome. But yeah.
Well,
I'm kidding. I'm not that guy.
I would say as well.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just putting it in as a 3-pack, I think is a really, really good decision as well from Hasbro's point of view. I just think, regardless of what you think of these, Tyler, I don't think they necessarily would all be great sellers individually. I think we've had 2 Thrawns recently. I think some people would sit out and say, I'm not buying a third. We've had Imperial officers that have sat on pegs for a bit. So again, Palion may not have sold well on his own. But I think just to put these together as a 3-pack just makes them, they just really pop as a set.
Yes.
And again, we moan about not having sets of things. We moan about having individual figures that we then have nothing to go with. And we've got an instant pack here. We've got an instant set that all go together. And it's just a really smart pack. I mean, I just think, it's perfect. I have no other word for it. I just think it's great.
I totally agree
to that.
I totally agree.
This has been like super well received, and nobody has complained about, oh, there's only one new figure in there. And the other 2 are basically like repaint.
No, nobody was bothered by it
because they are smart.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pelion, awesome figure. Thrawn,
Character
you can never get
debut.
enough of those. Yeah. So
Pelion's never been made in either scale before. In 33 years, never been made before.
I just want to touch on this from Riley Bob asking about the pre-existing tooling. Could we get Chimera from the Joris torso? Short answer, no. Because slightly different. We don't need to get in the weeds about that.
Got a little too much cleavage, right?
Yes, but that does lead me to bring up, I was wondering about it, where is this tunic part sculpted separately from the ripped abs part? Like, are those 2 separate pieces that are put together? I can't quite tell, because if they are, I have to wonder if they couldn't use that tunic piece and the upper arms, and then depending on what those legs look like, could we be a step closer to Peridia Ezra? So
yeah. I was thinking it might be 2 pieces because it seems similar to Mandalore Maul. How it has sculpted abs under it and then the soft plastic tunic. Yeah,
because those upper arms and that over tunic would be almost perfect for that Ezra. So anyway, random stray thought. Sorry to hijack.
No problem. I just wanted to say I totally agree, Lewis, with what you said about how this is a much smarter and better offering as a whole package, the 3 of them together. I totally agree, because there's been some chatter about like, oh my God, another Thrawn. Why do I need another Thrawn? We just, they said the same thing about the Ahsoka one. Why do I need this one? Well, it's different, but we don't want oversaturation of any particular character, right? Like, for example, this year, which we're going to get into, there's 3 Din Djarans. That's a little too much in 1 year, in my opinion, right? You're not exactly Darth Vader here, okay?
Yeah.
But it does give me, I'll be honest, sort of a sick satisfaction that our Thrawn in TVC is accurate with the epaulets, whereas the TBS one and the 3-pack with Vader and Grievous, inexplicably. Anyway, he is not properly retooled, but he has the Salamiri as if to suggest that he's from, the EU, and it's an inaccurate figure.
The epaulets make him worth buying as well, though, don't they?
That's
They
what I'm
make him
saying.
worth buying a game, because
right.
Otherwise, why are you buying it? Yeah, it's
right. But they went through the effort of making him accurate like that, whereas the TBS they didn't. So.
And just to touch on price point, I know again some people sort of say, "Oh, you're going to make me pay that for another Thrawn." And personally, and again, everyone has a different benchmark, but personally, I don't think the price of this pack is too bad.
No.
When you look at, again, we're just talking about the IG 12 pack. That's half the price of this pack. Half the price. And what do you get in comparison? And then I think when you look at Sabine and Chopper, again, that pack was the same price over here as this pack. So you're getting 3 figures rather than 2. I know Sabine had a lot of paint apps. There's some arguments to be made there, but his Chopper was reuse. If you want to, Pendulum's one come first, but again, he wasn't necessarily a new figure. So I think when you look at the price of that in comparison to some of the other sets we've had, I actually don't think it's too bad.
What's the? It's $49.99 US, yeah.
Yeah, it's £49.99 as well.
So that puts it at $16.66 per figure, which is just under the MSRP of figures right now in the main line at retail.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not bad.
Oh, you're getting your figures for a few cents less than usual and a nice exterior box.
Mm-hmm.
All for
and one's new,
cheaper than average cost. That's pretty
and
good.
some of the best cards I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, those cards are glorious, man.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I know I'm gonna sound like totally biased here because it's my favorite media property. Like, well, at least my favorite Star Wars books, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
The
But
only
those
books you've read, but yes.
cards are- That's not true. That's not true. I've read a lot of books. Not as many as you, for sure. But those card backs, like they just scream Star Wars, right? Like all three of them has a star field in the background. Lewis, I think you made this point, right? Like all three of them have somebody did, forgive me.
Mate, it wasn't me, but I remember someone mentioning it. Yeah.
Yeah, all three of them have a star field in the background, and they just all give you that Star Wars vintage Kenner feel. It's glorious. I mean, and that
I don't care about the cards. I'll be ripping them off. So
Yeah.
I can't
You
remember
monster.
maybe it was John. Somebody said it, but
It was probably John, that card back dork. But yeah. All right. Well, listen, it's been 32 minutes so far into this stream, and we have said really nice things so far. We
have ways to go.
Yeah, we do. Yep. Okay. Long road ahead. But let's jump to the next topic then. Let's look at putting 2024 in the rear view. So what happened this year? Well, a couple things. We had the 4th annual TVC March Madness that took place. As usual, submissions of community top 25 lists happened in January, and the tournament itself ate up, you guessed it, March. Lots of great characters were in this tournament. We even got to disqualify a character because he was revealed during the list submission period. That was Cobb Vanth. So that opened a slot for another character to get a chance at all the glory. So this whole tournament ended up boiling down to new villain, Balin Skull, versus a fan favorite, Pong Krell. So that was the number 1 rank in Balin Skull going in. Pong Krell was number 15, and Pong managed to take it away and be crowned this year's March Madness winner. Pretty rad, right? Just talking about March Madness, though, we do, it's December, so that means next month is the top 25 submission period. So start thinking about that now, friendos. It's soon. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, we usually leave the entire month open for submissions. I don't know how we're going to do it this time, but generally you're going to have plenty of time. But I will say, the sooner that you have your list ready, if your list is ready on day 1 when we start accepting lists, the higher the chance that you're going to be able to influence other people who look at your list and you're like, oh, I forgot about that character. I'm going to put him on my list, right? So, if you wait till the end of the month, everybody's put their lists in already. I'm just saying, you can influence people. It's happened. So
was Joris going to be number 1 on your list for 2025?
100%.
Heck yeah, man. Yep. You didn't even have to waste the time.
Look at that.
Nope.
I'm so jealous.
Lewis said, I really thought that we were going to have like a grueling fan campaign for this guy for years.
Yeah.
So it's so cool that they just surprised us, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, following all of that, we had another community event happen, and that was from Hasbro. It was another HasLab it launched. We don't need to talk too much about it. We've pretty much said everything we've had to say across multiple streams, multiple podcasts, multiple posts, blah, blah, blah. But yes, the Mos Eisley Cantina. It had a bit of a false start after being delayed from the May the 4th festivities, and then it sort of kind of leaked out on Hasbro's own site for a minute. That was interesting. It finally launched on June 7th and was the talk of the town. Yeah. It was the talk of the town until July 8th. It's successfully backed, which is awesome. But it was the first TVC HasLab to fail to unlock its final tier, which was Arlyle Schaus, I don't care, a never before made OT figure. But that's okay because this dovetails us into the next thing. Arlisle got his revenge during the second annual Last Figure Standing tournament, which is put together by our friends John Miko and the TVC Facebook group, Chris Swansky and Bantha Skull, and Bosk's Bounty. Arlisle faced off against the brand new villain, the Stranger, in the final, and lo and behold, he got his revenge and won. So, what a fun time. It all kind of just linked together.
Also, those with keen eyes noticed that Arlisle shares, is it his complete lower half or just his boots with Jod?
Yeah,
I think it's waist down, isn't it?
Waist
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Waist down. So half of Arlisle now exists.
Yeah. So he's
Something to consider for March Madness when it comes to our rules
yes,
about
yes,
tooling. I'm not
yes.
going to get too deep into that right now, but we do have rules
That is
regarding
so.
tooling.
He's one that's been sculpted. Half of the tooling has been does exist. So yes, will he be eligible for March Madness? Probably not.
I like to think that people
No.
think that the message has got across now anyway. He won Last Figure Standing. I think he doesn't need to win another tournament to show Hasbro that we need him.
Yep.
So yeah, you know.
I will just say, we internally in the team, we have gone back and forth on this like a brutal tug of war. People went face down in the mud. Like it was somebody lost a tooth. It was ugly. Okay. But not literally, but figuratively.
Yeah.
But it's tough because in another situation is Anakin, right? So Anakin's lower half is coming with the Clone Wars / Ahsoka version, right? His whole lower half now exists. Same situation as Jod and Arlisle, right? So either way we do this, the community is going to be mad at us. On one hand, if we include him, people are going to be like, WTF, you're breaking your own rules. You're full of it. You're full of it. You don't follow your own rules.
It's rigged.
And then on the other hand, if we don't let people, if we don't allow them into the tournament, people are going to be like, you're denying some of the community's biggest wants. How dare you? So it's like, what do we do? What do you want us to do? Maybe we should run a poll about this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
at the end of the day, we'll let you know when we get to March.
Yeah. No decisions will be made today.
We'll see what comes out in the wash.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes out in the wash.
Yeah. But I do get you, Tyler. And, as Lewis said, I don't know if Arlisle needs to win another fan poll. It's obvious the demand is there. The numbers are there. People have been, asking for him. He won. He beat a very popular villain character from a new media source. It's there. Whereas like Anakin, we're going up against, Hasbro, who says, yeah, obviously TVC collectors want OT stuff. Duh. Obviously. And then we're like, we also want prequel stuff. They're like, what? What?
But prequels didn't sell 15 years ago.
Yeah. And then but we're giving, but you guys got an
whatever.
Anakin back in 2005. That's good enough. Yeah. So no, it's not, frankly, but it's a tough one. And so it's just trying to think of the context of where we're at as well with stuff. That's also kind of the consideration. Again, no decisions made.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. And I will say in the happy beeps of it all, I don't mind having this problem of trying to think of what exists and finding it harder and harder to kind of narrow down things, because that just means, hey, our tooling library is expanding. That's a good thing, and more things are possible. So
which is one of the reasons March Madness came about, was to try and push for a bigger tooling library. So
that's been one of our major goals from the outset. So that's, again, a happy problem to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, enough about all of that, covering the big stuff what the community got up to. Am I missing anything? I hope not. I apologize if I am.
I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, let's take a look at what we got in 2024. So I put together a thing that I went to present on, and it's not here. Hold, please.
Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
There we go. We just posted this on Instagram yesterday. Here are the 2024 releases. Number of releases in total, 46. So there are 31 carded figures across four mainline waves. Sorry, I can't talk today. And 2 fan channel waves. There were 3 deluxe figures. 2 were in boxes, and 1 was the debut of the carded deluxe with Cobb Vanth. Again, we've kind of touched on that a little bit. I think we'll talk more about it later. And then we got 3 multi-packs. There was 1 carded 4-pack, 1 carded 2-pack, and 1 special action figure set 4-pack. We got 3 troop builder packs, 2 play sets, 1 diorama set. I wasn't quite sure how to classify Jabba. They called it an action play set, I think, right? I don't know. I don't really see the action in Jabba. But we also got 1 beast and...
Toss of frogs in his mouth.
Yes. And 2 vehicle releases, one of which being the Ghost, which was a HasLab, not necessarily on the budget year, and technically comes with 2 vehicles having the Phantom 2. So the number of carded figures added to the line this year, which includes 1 mini card and 1 deluxe card, 48. There's 48 new cards in the line. That's crazy. But yeah, big thing I noticed off the bat, no Target or Walmart exclusives. What happened?
Yeah, that's the real question, isn't it? Why is that, right? Is Hasbro pitching lackluster options to Target and Walmart? Have Target and Walmart wisened up and been like, those are garbage. Don't want them. They're not going to sell, right? Like what is Hasbro pitching to them? Or is retail turned off by TVC in general, right? There's widespread reports that Target is just no longer carrying TVC. There's no mainline TVC pegs, it seems, and quite a few. I don't know if that's all Targets, but a good number of them.
My Target doesn't carry Black Series either. They don't carry Star Wars. So which leads me to piggyback on your point I have here was I see so much Black Series on clearance all the time. New, old, OT, new media, whatever, all of it. So you said, is retail turned off by TVC in general? My question is, are retailers feeling burned in general on Star Wars as a brand by feeling an overabundance of product and seeming inability to move said product? So it's like,
or just not good product.
Yeah. Is Black Series, it feels like, and this might be a shock, it feels like the Black Series might be negatively affecting Star Wars in the retail space. I don't know.
It's strange though, when you think some of the exclusives that have been out there have been terrible choices, let's be honest. I mean, the Tusken Warrior with the Tusken Warrior Massive was just such a bad call when you've got the same figure sitting on a card. Why do people want multiples of that figure? There's just so many bad reasons to not put that. And in a box, no bubble, the list goes on.
Yep.
But then you look at Walmart historically had the Stormtrooper, and that Stormtrooper should have been an absolute mind-blowing figure. It should have just sold out everywhere. And yet, from what I hear, people weren't even seeing it in stores. Mm-hmm. So it was almost an online exclusive. So you half have to blame them in terms of how they've marketed it as well. I don't know. It just seems to me to be both angles, what they're being offered, plus how they're actually then putting it out themselves. Plus, we know about all the packaging issues as well. As someone who's in the UK who doesn't have those 2 stores, I don't experience all of that. But what we do experience is the loss of exclusives because we get them through the fan channels. If Walmart do an exclusive, we still get it. Likewise with Target. So we miss out as well, even though we haven't got those stores. And I don't know. I just, you have to wonder what is being pitched to them, or if these stores are just turning around saying, look, we're not interested in these figures.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that, it's almost, we're staring down the barrel of 2025. And all of us, at least in the US, can go into any retail store and still find multiples of that Lando from 2021. And for some reason, I don't understand why there's no reset on that product number. Why is he still full price? Why is he still on these pegs? Why hasn't that been cleared out? Like, why aren't the product numbers being refreshed with each wave or with each year? I don't understand on the retailer side, on the inventory. Like, I don't get it. There's things that I don't get, obviously. Look at me. I don't understand the world in general. But I'm really confused by, how can they stock this stuff when there's no rhyme or reason to how it's sorted in their own internal systems? Where if there's a new TVC wave hitting, sometimes it depends on where you're at in the country. There'll be, oh, I'm finding the new wave. And then so say, I'll go and check my store, and my store will have a brand new case that they just ordered. And it's an old wave, but it's on the same number, but it's old figures that are still on the pegs or are months out of date. I don't know. It's tough.
Can you highlight Hal Runner's comment?
Yes, I can.
How is this possible?
Yeah, I've seen new waves. I see new waves on clearance, but Lando's never hit clearance. What's happening?
Oh God.
It must be the way that they're buying them in the first place. I know some of the stores over here, like HMV, for example, stock figures, but my understanding is that they get stock that's already kind of overstock, so they're already buying them cheap. So what you don't see is the figures there immediately when they're first out. They will be a little bit later, but then you will see them clearance quite quickly, and it's because they can obviously afford to do that. Whether or not these later waves, they're buying them in at a different price, that Lando may have just been a highly inflated price that they just can't afford to knock down. I don't know how that works, to be honest.
Well, there's still something going on with that product number, because when Lando was released, I think they were still at the $12.99 price point. But now if you scan it, it does ring up at the $16.99 new price point. So
I've been meaning to buy up all the Landos at my
Mr. Moneybags.
Well, no, hold on. And drive like 40 minutes to an hour away and just return them at some other Walmart and make them somebody else's problem. Like, I've been so tempted for like 3 years to do that.
Yeah.
I just imagine around to it. But
just imagine someone doing exactly the same thing and driving them back to yours, and you just have this endless kind of shipping of Landos back and forth.
Oh man.
Just melt them down already.
Yeah.
Awful.
What have we learned? 3 per case is not the way to go with certain characters. Army builders, yes. Main characters, probably not. I don't know. But yeah. We got 2 Amazon exclusives this year. Do I have this mentioned here? Yes, I have this up. If you get your spectacles out and read the really teeny tiny little text.
I already have my contacts in, but I feel like I need to put my like really double up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got the 2 Amazon exclusives, which were the carded Escape from Order 66 multi-pack and the Mandalorian Shriekhawks 4-pack that weren't carded. That's cool. I think Amazon seems to have their finger on the pulse of getting these multi-packs out. I have liked those, although I didn't love the Order 66 set as much as I wanted to, but we can get into that later. But there's a lot of fan channel exclusives, including the first wave of the year being a fan channel wave that was with Count Dooku and the Phase 1 Clone Trooper, which again, that should have been a figure on pegs as a generic clone, whatever. But then those 2 repacks, Finn and Cassian, who didn't do so hot at retail 8 years ago when they first came out. So, but then we also had another fan channel wave, which was the Kanan and Ezra wave, which those would have been cool to see on pegs. But I understand the Cal and the Mandalorian Judge maybe not having as much shelf appeal. I don't know. So, yeah.
I honestly totally forgot about the Escape from Order 66 pack. Like when we were, because we're gonna get into like our favorite and least favorite releases of the year, and I know we had the graphic to reference, but I don't know. I totally just my eyes glazed over, and I forgot about it.
I don't hate that pack. I don't hate it. I know there's a lot of hate for it.
I hate
and
it.
also I think there's a lot of hate for the price. I think the price the people didn't like. But
yes.
I actually enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to it. And yeah, it's not perfect, but we're going off subject.
Yeah. Well, this is the subject. We're talking about the year. It's fine. Toys of the Way, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
I was just saying I like that set. I actually used it today.
Go ahead and boot you off this chat real quick.
Later.
I just want to state for the record, I haven't bought any of the Order 66 4-pack. I refuse to pay full price for that. I never I shouldn't say never. I rarely advocate for waiting for sales or being a clearance vulture. In general, it's a terrible practice. It's very damaging to the line. It's not a good practice. But in that rare situation where you want me to pay full price for 3 Astromechs and an Ahsoka repack,
Yeah. But she came on an
I'm not
alternate
doing it.
card.
I'm not doing it, man. Nah.
Yeah,
sure.
there needed to be
The
something
value is
other than
not
Astromech.
there in that
Yeah.
pack. I'm
Well,
sorry. It's just
what
not.
I would say, just going back about exclusives, the Amazon exclusive over here are just awful. Whenever they announce an Amazon exclusive, I just groan. And I didn't bother with either of these 2 packs, even attempting to get them from Amazon, because they never put them up. Literally 4 months later, you might get them up. If you're lucky, you can find it on there. You can never find it. You can search, till Kingdom Come, can't find it. So both times I've just gone for imports and paid a little bit extra. So even with that pack, I paid more to get it from In Demand Toys. I think I went through.
Okay.
But yeah, I hate the Amazon stuff. So, but that goes with my set. I've got the set. I'd made the Venator set, hadn't I? And I've got the medical room. So I needed that to do that scene. And it's probably one of the only photographs I've taken this year, or certainly one of the few photographs I've taken this year, because I was really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the set, but yeah, we can get into the execution a little bit later. So looking at this year, let's see, what do I have next? So here's 2023. So looking at this year, comparing it to 2023, it looks like far less product. Yes and no, because 2023's offerings were kind of helped by the late arrival of the final 2022 wave early on in 2023, which are 6 figures on the 2022 budget. That's that Cassian and Velsartha wave. And then 2023 also got the early arrival of the first wave of the 2024 budget year, which is the Revan wave, which was widely available before 2023 closed out. So if you do the math and adjust for that, 2023 goes from 64 releases to 52, and 2024 goes from 46 releases up to 52. So it's shockingly relatively consistent.
Interesting.
But
it does look to me like there's more world building items in 2023, though, especially the one at the Jabba's throne room price point. I was kind of hoping that they would keep that going as a thing, stuff at that price point, exclusive to Pulse. But it doesn't look like that's gonna continue.
You know what else I'll say about this? I see a lot of exclusives.
Yep. A lot of exclusives.
Right there. That's 8 more figures that we're getting. And 3 of them are like repainted Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then repack mainline figures with an extra
Life Day Chewie. Life Day Chewie wasn't exactly a lot of effort.
More
careful now.
Now the Boba Fetts were ridiculous because they were like way too expensive.
Yeah, they were all like $25, $28, and it was like, I don't. Okay, but
which is another thing. Like, did that affect Target's view of how those sold?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we shouldn't sell them at that high of a price point, and maybe more people would have picked them up.
Yeah.
Well, so I will say my understanding is that exclusives have a lower production run number.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right. And so to justify or make a profit on, like, in order for it to be worth Target or Walmart's time, and also the factory's time to make a smaller production run, I think they have to raise it up a few dollars, MSRP. But
I think that's where like they need to reevaluate, and it needs to be like something smart that's gonna warrant multiple purchases. So like a really smart army builder. No one's gonna buy like 3 of those Boba Fetts with each color wave.
But
or the
who would do
Warrior.
that?
Well, if that Tusken Warrior had just been a generic, if that had been a generic Tusken Warrior, they probably would have sold tons of those.
I would have bought a lot of those sets.
Crazy decision.
If they made really wanted more masses, like, and I'm not saying they should do this, but I'm just saying as an example, if they made the, say, Clone Shock Trooper an exclusive, that's going to sell wildly well, right?
Real quick, Aqualish Doug, my understanding is that is a 2025 budget wave. So
Yeah.
But before we go into the numbers about 2022, I know we're gonna be kind of like about a lot of stuff. Let me just remind us real quick. Sorry, 2024. Getting myself confused.
Wrong year.
To look back though, because I'm going somewhere with this. To look back at 2022, let's remember this. At least in the U.S., we had, by the time the year ended, only 6 all new sculpts in hand for the entire calendar year. Just those 6.
Really?
That was it.
Forgot about that.
Yep. That was
Damn.
bad. Granted, yes, 3 of the new sculpts would have been on that budget wave from the Cal Kestis, the Cassian, and the Velsartha, but those then came out in 2023. So
interestingly, 3 of those figures have been reused. Dark Viper directly, and obviously Vader and Obi-Wan indirectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though we got new figures there, they've got their money's worth out of those.
Yeah.
If only there were some Inquisitors with that wave.
If only.
Yeah.
I wish. But yeah, so let's get into the newness of it all. Let's see. So for this year, I didn't put together any graphics, but I just was looking at it. Got a big assist from John, who again can't be here today, but he popped into this spreadsheet that I was putting together, trying to help me out. So these numbers they should be mostly correct. I'm not 100% sure on them, but just I think we've kind of worked it out. 2024 got 14 new sculpts. 3 of those 14 are in the almost or maybe category, with Hera, Sabine, and Lakeside Grogu, since it's kind of hard to tell if there's a couple parts that are reused, but effectively they're new figures. So I'm not going to get into the semantics of that. Who cares? So, but yes, one of those 14 being a Grogu and another one is Salacious Crumb. Do we want to count those? Does that drop us down to 12 figures proper?
Accessory.
Yeah. Okay. So 12.
You did the
I'm
numbers.
thinking about that too with Crumb, just because he is new. He's got some articulation.
He's a carded figure.
Yeah.
So
Got his name on the name pill.
Yeah. But now all my arguments for all that is falling apart. So I got you. It's fine. But if we add in those ones from that tail end of 2023, the Revan, who else is in that wave?
Hera.
Yeah. Anyway, there's
It's
3
over
in
my
that
shoulder.
wave. Yeah, there's 3 in that wave that would have been new sculpts. So that puts us back up to 15? Puts us at 15 sculpts, new sculpts for 2024. Cool, neat. 2023 had 16 new sculpts, but 3 of those are on the 2024 budget, so that puts it down to 13. But then you take away 3 that were on the 2022 budget, and that's 10. So,
And not as good as it seemed.
Yeah. And I didn't factor in Grogu and BD1 into the 16 number on that. So you're welcome, everybody.
Those are accessories, but anyway.
Yeah. I gotcha. In terms of partial tooling, 2024 had 32. 2023 had 27. When it comes to repaints, repacks, and reissues, 2024 had 20. There was 1 kit bash and Axe Woves. There was 10 repaints. There were 6 repacks, and there were 3 reissues. 2023, though, had significantly more on the reuse front, actually, with 35 overall. There were 17 repacks and 18 repaints. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the numbers. How you guys feeling about that? There's some progress in some categories. I don't know.
I'd like to see TVC, getting like 20-ish new sculpts annually, but it just seems like that's
seems a long way off.
Impossible.
We're getting close. We went from 10 to 15 essentially. From 2023 to 2024, but then again, it feels let down.
Actual whole new 3 3/4 inch, figures though.
If you're talking about
15.
completely new tool, yeah. I think that's the thing you've got to look at is do you think a better year would be more figures generally, or are we talking just new figures? Because I think if we got more, I'd be happy if they were smart more. smart retools, as we've said before, smart reuses. I think this year has been, again, we'll probably get into a bit more, but this bit has felt a bit drab because there's been too much reuse and not enough not inventive enough in terms of some of the reuse.
Inaccurate and lazy.
And so I feel that although it's created more figures by using that tooling, and it's all good stuff. I mean, you think there's not a single swivel hip there, is there? I don't think.
I was just going to point that out, Lewis.
Yeah.
I don't see a single swivel hip.
So it's all good stuff.
Which is good.
Yeah. So why are we disappointed?
But next year we already have 2.
We're going back.
Yeah. We need to be going.
We're going to talk about about that too. But anyway,
because to add to that, like, I would like to see more, especially if the tooling library is getting more expansive and they're doing really good kit bashes and partial tools that are getting us things into the collection that are great.
Yeah,
that I'm here for.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk about the best and worst then, because we can kind of then talk about some of these specific ones that maybe let us down, if that's okay with you guys.
Real quick, can you just highlight and answer Tanith's question?
Can you name the ones? Yeah, hold please. I probably can. Let's look. And sorry for the tedious thing. I had this pulled open, but then my browser crashed. For 2024, here's what I counted as all new, excluding Grogu and Salacious Crumb: Count Dooku, Huyang, Princess Leia, May, Sol, Osha, Kanan, Ezra, Zeb, 8D8, Cobb, and Jod.
That's 12.
Plus, sorry, what did I select? Hold on.
That's
12.
Plus Salacious.
Yes, plus Crumb.
13.
Plus Grogu, which I think we're thinking is new.
14.
Plus the Sabine, which I counted as effectively new, and Hera, which also we counted as effectively.
That would actually be 16.
Yeah, I wrote that, but then took some away.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah, give or take.
And also, there's also tricky things, right? Like the Night Trooper pack, which I'm about to mention here. There's so much new tooling between the 3 Night Troopers that it's almost effectively a whole new figure there.
Yeah.
So it's
and Enoch as Mechanized has said there as well in the chat.
100%. So it's tricky when you really want to say how many actual all new sculpts are when it breaks down like that.
Yeah, it's again, it goes back to what I was saying about March Madness. This is a good problem to have, that we have an expansive enough tooling library now that it does get a little dicey and hard to tell which things are all new or which things utilize smartly existing parts, because we have enough modern parts to put on these characters.
Enoch isn't all new. He does share some standard Stormtrooper parts. Let me grab some of my 30 here. Hold on.
Maybe grab one of those and throw it in the mail for me, please.
Is he still not sent out?
Correct.
Just teasing you at this point.
He's got a unique torso, I believe, but the arms and legs are just standard Stormtrooper parts, right?
But then if you put into that set the fact that there were Stormtroopers that had new arms and new legs, you give him the new head, the new torso, you've probably got a whole new figure in that one pack.
Which Toys of the Way, you counted that in your video you just dropped yesterday. Really great, by the way. You had mentioned that collectively that pack essentially equals one new figure.
Yes,
there's like 10 different parts if you count all the different Stormtroopers. And I didn't even count like Enoch, like helmet, so that's technically a new helmet, so it all adds up to basically a new figure in there.
Yeah, which is cool. And I see someone here also asked about counting the blurg, if that counts. Yes, there's a lot of new tooling in our budget that also goes to these world building sets, like the hallway, the forge, the blurg, the E-wing. Those are all items that also take up
And
tooling
that,
budget. So
right. Yeah. Absolutely. And so, the question is always, okay, do we want to sacrifice the world building items to get more mainline standard figures, right? Because maybe we could get 20, 25, 30 figures with that tooling money, but then you're sacrificing what 3.75 is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be the world building skill, and you're supposed to have all those other components. You're supposed to have vehicles, you're supposed to have beasts, you're supposed to have diorama sets, right? That's all what makes the heritage scale so special. It's not just figures like Black Series, right?
But they're useless without the figures.
I was
So
going to
you have
say,
to have both.
Right.
you
Yeah.
can't
That's
build a
true.
world without anybody to populate it, unless you want to do like,
100%.
I Am Legend version of Star Wars.
100%.
So
100%. And also, I will say the world building items are the big money makers. It always has
Yeah.
been that way, right? Since the Kenner days, it was always the vehicles and the bigger ticket stuff that made the real money, not so much the figures themselves, right? And so those world building items help keep the line alive because frankly, the figures don't make as much profit as Black Series figures do because Black Series figures are selling for $8 more or whatever it is, right? So it's a balancing thing, but
Yeah.
it's
I also think all
complicated.
these world building items and just like the figures in general are all very dependent on each other, and also just like the engagement in the community. Because I'm really enjoying seeing so many different people take that light cruiser set it up, take photos, have a blast with it. That is something that is very special to me as like somebody who's collected for a number of years, and seeing like pictures like that online, just like, wow, I can create a Star Wars world in my room and like live that experience. And that is something that is easier with our scale, even to have like a blur, set it up, make it almost feel like it's on, a planet somewhere.
yeah,
Just all the
absolutely.
things that make, this scale very special.
Those corridor sets, I think, have been really successful just because you don't have to use them for what they're for as well. People put other figures into them, the other scenes, and I think the Tantive set and obviously this corridor, I think are both really successful.
Yes.
More.
I still go back to the Tantive set quite often. I use a lot of pieces for it whenever I want to take photos or, when I want to set up displays. I think it's a great piece. And the only thing I'm mad about with the Imperial Light Cruiser hallway is that it took so long to get another modular hallway like that. I want one of those every year. And I love that. I want, a Death Star one. I just want a bunch of those. I think it'd be dope. So,
yeah,
I think they're also great because not only are they like great pieces to like interact with, they're practical because people can use them on their shelf and just have all their figures, or they could take it down and be like, I want to set up a scene and like share this photo with my friends or whatever. Very smart thing to get.
And there's so much more potential for those hallway style sets, right? Like this is an Imperial hallway, but it's like black. It doesn't actually look like a Death Star hallway.
No.
Right. So they can still do a Death Star hallway. They can do, the Hoth.
I'd love to see the Hoth one.
tunnels.
That'd be great.
They can do Camino hall. I really think they should dip more into prequel stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they could do Camino hallways. There's tons of stuff that they could do. So there's lots more potential there, but
for sure. Well, should we get into the best and the worst when it comes to 2024?
Yeah.
All right, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the rest. I'll go ahead and start on the best reuse and retool of the year. For me, in this category, I'm going to go ahead and say Pretty Ahsoka. I really like this look. I wish she came with the cape. I'll say that much. I wish she came with her cloak. But I was super pleased that I didn't have to beg for 2 years. I didn't have to campaign for it for multiple years. I managed to get, my heart drops when I watch a new Star Wars thing and the main character changes their costume at any point because I'm like, crap, I'm never going to get a figure of that. But I was really glad that they made this happen. It's smart reuse. There's some little bits that I think I'd like to see updated, but overall, this is an effective figure for me. It gets the spirit of it all correct. And I've really had a lot of fun posing her on the shelf. So that's my favorite retool of the year.
Good choice.
Good choice indeed. Yeah.
Very good one. Tyler, what's yours?
So for me, I'm gonna go with the Night Troopers because I think, despite the inclusion of Enoch, right, the creativeness there in getting all the different pieces with the different wrappings and the different paint jobs for the gold and the gray and all of that, it was just really well executed, perfectly executed. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have several different troopers that looked unique, and you could swap parts around to make even more different looking, uh, night troopers. So I really applaud Hasbro for the creativity on this set. Um, really, really smart work here. And I want to give an honorable shout out to Django. Um, I realized it wasn't the greatest release in terms of being a deluxe, right?
Yeah.
But just as far as the figure itself, aside from the big saddlebag holsters and the missing arrows, I got all that, right? But in terms of the figure itself, it's so satisfying to have basically a definitive Django after so many years, nearly 20 years of wanting a Django of that quality. Django, I loved the Bounty Hunter video game as a kid. It's just such a big part of the prequel era, and to get that figure was just that was a real highlight of the year for me, for
Yeah.
sure. So I really
Definitely.
appreciate that figure, even despite its flaws.
Yeah.
So
It was
I
great.
agree.
Yeah, great.
Lewis, what was your
Yeah.
favorite?
So I would agree with both of your choices, to be honest. Anyway, and Peridia Ahsoka, I would say I actually opened that yesterday. I've only just got it, and the reason I didn't choose it, one, because I saw you put her on there anyway, but I kind of thought I might be being a bit biased, like recency biased, because I've only just got her. So I thought so honorable mention there. But no, for me, Clone Commander Rex, I'm just really happy the fact that we got him updated as quickly as we did with the new clone body. He's not perfect, he still has a few little bits where, especially some of the clone guys will tell you, that's around the wrong way, and I know he's not perfect, but I think we've had two in TVC now. The first one was terrible, probably one of the worst figures in TVC. The second one was obviously part of that Bad Batch set, which didn't look anything like Rex. Don't know what they did to the head, and then obviously it's on that skinny clone body, so just hated that. And he's probably my favorite clone, Rex, and so I'm really glad that we got him done this early. And to be honest, I want to see Hasbro use this sculpt more. We're just not seeing enough of it yet.
Yeah.
So let's keep some clones going. Don't have to go mad, but just keep a little trickle.
And have a generic clone trooper on pegs at retail as well. I'm getting sick of these definitive army builders not ever having a chance to capture someone walking through an aisle. A more casual audience.
Love that Hasbro should be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll just and just a couple of honorable mentions, really, just because I wanted to mention the HK87 droid. I love that figure. I think it's great. And I really like the fact that they reused it again quite quickly. So we got one last year, we got another one this year. And I really would like to see Hasbro redo that again, but in the colors of the one who's with Morak in the shipyard in Ahsoka, which is kind of all black with a bit of red on him. I think it would be great just to get that one out as well. Why not? You've got the sculpt there now. And even the ones from Mandalorian. I mean, we haven't seen those either. I
want those ones.
Yeah, put them with Morgan. It gives us someone to display it with. So the HK, I think, was a good use, and I think it's still got more it can do. So
definitely.
And then I said the last one. I put 3 in because I've been a bit cheeky, but I got this today. So I haven't opened it yet. I don't know how good it is, but if you're squeamish, I'm sorry. I'm going to open it. All right.
Oh, the horror.
There we go. But yeah, I love a Stormtrooper. I think anything that's Stormtrooper based is a winner for me. And so this could easily have been my fave, but because I haven't opened him yet, there you go.
Yeah, love it.
Now. I'll play with him later on.
Case of those on the way.
Toys are the way. I know you've covered a lot of this stuff, but what was your favorite of the reuse of the year?
Surprisingly for me, it is the Shriek-Hawk Mando. I didn't expect to like that set as much as I did once I opened it and started taking some photos with them. They are really pretty awesome. pretty simple, you know, it's just a repainted Bo-Katan, kit bashing here and there of like, you know, Death Watch Mando from the series. Yeah, the set it's awesome.
Yeah.
I still need to get this set. I still don't have this set.
Oh dang, yeah.
And I love the way they packaged that as well. I mean, they could have
Mhm.
done 4 cards. They didn't need to. And I think that set looks just the way they displayed them with all the, you know, the weapons sort of nicely laid out. I just think it's a
Yep.
really nice looking set, that.
It is. It
And
is.
sure, it's not perfect. They all technically should have that rifle. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's a little scary to have like knives that are just sitting around. Nowhere. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a great set. I just love the one guy towards the back right there. His helmet, just that was my favorite one to see in season 3. Something about him just like stuck out to me. So
Yeah.
happy that we got
Yeah.
that.
I personally feel a lot of what we talk about, you know, the Mando fatigue, where, you know, a lot of Mandalorians, like a lot of Mandalorians.
I know a lot of Mandalorians.
Yeah. But when I got this set, I got it. I was excited to get it. But then like you, I opened it up and I was like, dang, this is a lot more fun than I was expecting. I loved the presentation of it and it was just fun. So, you know, even though we talk about Mando fatigue, it's easy to kind of be like, oh, it's just lazy, blah, blah, blah. But more often than not, when I open any of these Mandalorian figures that I initially feel like again about, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is dope. I love this. So
This set just definitely feels pretty quality. There's
Yeah.
something about it.
yeah.
And then I have to give an honorable mention to Cheap from from Order 66 set, just because I never thought I'd ever see that character make its way into my collection room. And he's not perfect. I definitely have my gripes with him in terms
For
of
sure.
only having one arm and stuff, but Cheap is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's pretty rad.
Smart use of
Let's see. Well, let's dive into then if Lewis ever comes back, but don't worry, he's not first. Let's talk about worst reuse or retool of the year. And there is a lot of lazy stuff to choose from. Tyler,
man.
Tyler, you're up first on this one.
Where do I even begin, man?
Yeah, I have an image of where to begin.
Axe Woves is possibly the most unnecessary retool in history.
Yeah. Not only that though, Tyler, unnecessary and still wrong. So he's classified as privateer, but he's using the wrong torso. So they botched it on the second time. So I can't wait to buy him again with just another minor tweak. So he's inaccurate.
No more Hasbro. You blew your chance twice. No more Axe.
Yeah,
all
just
right?
sell me the
I don't want
pieces
Axe
loose and I'll
anymore.
put it together myself. It's fine.
helmet looks good.
Yeah, the helmet's great. I know we all made a huge stink about that giant, you know, Easter egg helmet that he was wearing. It was the worst thing ever until we got Sabine. But you know, yeah, I'm glad that they did some good corrections here. But yes, Tyler, I agree. This sucks.
You know, Beach Ball Grogu is another one that's just, you know, that wave in general is just bad. And then, you know, the Bo-Katan with the inaccurate hair, they didn't bother to tool up a new head for her. She had a totally different hairstyle and they just repacked the same head. And it's like, you didn't think we'd notice that her hair is totally wrong? Like, come on.
Yeah.
One of the 3 Din Djarins and he's got a jetpack. Like, okay. It's just
awesome, man.
Wet fart, man. Big wet fart.
He's not the worst.
Yeah.
He's not great.
No. Lewis was up next, but you covered Bo-Katan, so I'll ask him if he ever comes back. We'll see what happened. But yeah, that sucks. Toys of the Way, this one was yours.
Yeah, that Thrawn. I'm just like, I can't even bring myself yet to take like a good photo, like an Ahsoka themed photo of it, just because it just doesn't look quite right.
Yeah.
Like if they would have made him taller, maybe, but like, I don't know, it just doesn't look like what we saw on screen. And that's a big bummer. And also like he's going to be a main villain moving forward in this whole universe that they're setting up for us. But he deserves a proper figure.
Oh, he'll get one. It'll just be the 4th one we buy. Yeah.
I remember looking at the Heir to the Empire one and then like mentally comparing it to this one and just thinking about Oh, for some reason, it just looks more proportional. I don't know if it's the head.
I agree.
I don't
Yeah,
know what it is, but
Because it's using these same pants. So technically the Heir to the
Yeah.
Empire one is not tall. But
Yeah.
it just
No.
looks better for some reason.
yeah.
I think it's just, for me, this is one that when I saw the pictures of this initially, I was just like, oh no. But luckily I got it. Once I had it in hand, I liked it a lot more than I thought. And I think the head sculpt is great.
I agree.
I think there's really good things about the figure, but again, yeah, the stature is not great. And I do wish they had tooled up a new torso so that he was, he looked more like what we saw, like you were saying.
Thrawn bod.
Yeah, Thrawn bod.
Not quite dad bod. It's Thrawn
Yeah.
bod.
Yeah. Big bad
I don't
bod.
know.
So
But like I said in my review on Bantha Skull, which you all should check out if you
Yes.
haven't already. I'm personally less upset by the lack of dad bod. I don't really want or need my Thrawn to be fat and out of shape. No, not really. That doesn't really do it for me. But I
Yeah.
do take issue with the fact that he's too short.
yeah.
He's just too short.
Yeah.
Lars Mikkelsen is a very tall guy. He's like 6'4". He's not like Darth Vader tall, but he's freaking tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
the
when
thing
this, go
That's
ahead,
what
sorry.
kind of just like blows my mind with this. Like, it doesn't look awful, but when you see the Lars portrait and then the body that's clearly not his,
Yeah.
my brain is just triggered to be like, that doesn't look right.
Yeah. There's something uncanny there.
Yes. His like
Yeah.
torso, it doesn't need to be like, dad bod, but like it just needs to be longer. His legs need to be longer. The proportion
Yeah.
is just not right there.
I don't want them to overdo Thrawn. I love Thrawn, and I would buy as many of them as they release.
Oh, we
But
know.
however, I also recognize that not every consumer is like that, and people get sick of characters. I get that. So
Yeah.
I think eventually, whenever Thrawn comes out in upcoming media, whether it's in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or whenever, I think they should eventually take another stab at getting this right and
Yeah.
accurate. But I think it'd be okay to take a year or two off from releasing another Thrawn.
I mean,
I'm
look
okay with that.
Look how
So,
many Mandos we have. Throw another
Right.
Thrawn in there.
If he's in the Mandalorian and Grogu, just keep in mind we'll have to wait for at least 18 months after that movie comes out to get Thrawn, because Jon Favreau will be like, everything's a secret, including the thing you've already seen. So yeah.
right. Exactly.
But yeah.
So
Lewis, while you were away,
Yeah, sorry,
we
one of
mentioned-
the dogs wanted to go out and I couldn't get him back in again. He's just decided to run around the garden.
but
Apologies.
no, you're good. Tyler did mention Bo-Katan. So we kind of covered a little bit, but yeah, this was your least favorite of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. When someone says to me, what's the worst figure of the year, I'm not, I like to see the positive in everything. So I find it hard to pick one that I really think, oh, that's the worst. And I actually really like Bo-Katan, the original figure. I think it's one of the best figures we've had, in TVC for a while. But it was just this particular release. It was just a foul because of the hair piece more than anything. I think if you're going to upgrade the figure to make it the next season look, at least get it right. And yes, we got the pauldron, the pauldron, is that the right word?
Yeah.
What am I thinking of?
Yeah.
Shoulder, yeah. We got that, but the head wasn't there, and so again, it just feels like weak. It's just weak.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it's gone as my worst for the year, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I'm
Totally
pretty sure
agree.
that hair piece is like separate of the actual head sculpt.
They could have
Yeah.
just sculpted up a new longer hair piece.
yeah.
They tend to not say that like the plastic pieces that they have to sculpt or tool up they don't seem expensive.
Yeah.
Those seem pretty easy to get. So
Yeah. Ooh, I forgot that I have a least favorite. I was going to move on. This was my least favorite reuse of the year.
oh, your favorite figure ever?
I hate this. I hate this. And I want to love it because I love that game. I love that character. I had a lot of fun with that level, but I hate this. I don't know what this is. It's completely wrong. It's got the wrong pants, the wrong holster, the wrong rank badge. I don't get it. Like what this is so lazy to me at every level.
Yeah.
On every level.
At least they give him a lightsaber.
Well, oh yeah, okay. So they got me back with the lightsaber, but like,
Yeah.
and I do love the repainted BD1. So there's stuff I like about this, but I just look at this and I think it is very much just it encapsulates just like what we were talking about with Bo-Katan and with Thrawn. It encapsulates the laziness and the lack of creativity into putting something together. Like on its face, this is a creative reuse. Like, yeah, let's use the awesome new Imperial officer buck to make a Jedi variant from a main video game, which we don't get a lot of gaming figures in our line. So I don't know. I was just bummed because it's like when you were talking about looking at Thrawn and it doesn't match with what you saw, something's wrong there. I look at this doesn't look like what I played the video game, like saw in the video game. So
on paper, it's the right figure to do. And
correct.
Saying it's the right thing to do. It's just the execution of it. It's just wrong. I don't hate it as much as everyone else hates it. I will say that much.
Yeah.
I was quite happy to get it, but yeah, there's always a but with some of these figures, and there was a big but with this one.
It seems like a cheap way of just getting them another video game figure, which I want to see more gaming figures, but
but we want to see them accurate.
Yeah.
And I think the most audacious thing about this is that they were so aware that the rank badge was wrong that they made the card back image wrong too.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't think we'd catch that? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Maybe
Naughty Hasbro, naughty and bad.
Yeah. And here's the thing. This has a new head, right? Or is it the existing Cal head?
It's definitely got more of a beard and a scar. I don't think the original's got the scar, has it?
The original.
I think that it's definitely a different head. It's different in some way, but I don't know about a sculpt. I think it's just the way they painted it.
That would just make it hilarious though if they sculpted a new Cal head, but then just didn't put any other newness. It's like, oh come on.
Well, here's the thing too, and here's what a lot of people don't realize about these officers, right? If you look at them, apparently I don't have one handy, but anyway,
that's crazy.
If you look at the figure, right, from front to back, you can see that the torso is two pieces fused together, right? All the Imperials, I'm pretty sure, have the same rear torso piece. All the wrinkles and folds are all the same, right? It's the front torso piece that is different from release to release because of the rank badge and the code cylinders, and for Thrawn, he's got the bars and the little collar devices and all that stuff, right? So it's just the front torso piece. So you're talking about one piece to tool up. One piece, and you couldn't even do that. It's just
the rank badge bothers me less than the holster.
The holster bothers me.
That bothers me the most.
You don't get a new rank badge, you get 1/4 rank badge.
1/4 portion. They're all displayed up there. I'm sorry.
This sums it up for me as well with the Jedi games. Like, yeah, there are so many characters to choose from. I mean, second sister, man, come on. But yeah, and all we get are variants of the two things. But I feel that.
Yeah, they need to focus a little bit more on some new gaming figures for sure.
Yeah, there's an audience for it, and they know that. Obviously, they go out of their way to do it in our neighboring scale. They get all of these things.
Can you highlight Tanith's comment once again?
Yeah,
so true. So true, and that's the value of investing in the right pieces, right? Having the foresight to be like, you know what, we can reuse that again.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
feel that.
I'm trying not to sigh constantly during this stream, but
let's move away from a sigh and let's talk about something of the best repack of the year. And I think we were all in agreement on this one. All four of us agreed. It's
easy choice.
It's
that. We finally, after how many years, we've finally got the definitive Stormtrooper available at retail on pegs, like I was just talking about earlier. Until this year, this definitive Stormtrooper was never widely available for just anyone casually looking.
And let's talk about how many times it's been released. Okay, so you had VC 140, right? That was the Rogue One. That was the original. Well, aside from the Mimbin Trooper, right? That was like the original Stormtrooper release, right?
And it didn't hit pegs. It didn't hit retail.
Didn't hit pegs because of the log jam. It went straight to Ollie's, right? Or it was like you could get it through Entertainment Earth, right? Or whatever. fan channel in general, right? And then you had the eWeb version, right, which was a deluxe, but I don't think those ever hit pegs. Those
No,
never hit
that was an
retail.
online Walmart exclusive.
Yep.
Then you had the Heavy Trooper, which if you took the pauldron off,
Yep.
that was a standard Stormtrooper, right? Then you had what am I missing? You had this guy. I don't know.
This is the second
like
reissue.
This is like the fifth or sixth time that this has been available as a standard Stormtrooper, and it's finally on pegs.
Because this
the New Hope that didn't have the you had the holster, didn't you? One where they added the holster.
Oh yeah. I remember. So the first release of this was a Walmart exclusive, but never hit pegs.
Correct.
Right?
That's twice.
So that was like the fifth release, right?
Yeah.
So finally on the sixth release. I never saw this on pegs because people snatched them up so fast. I did see the remains of this wave at retail, but I was hoping to see the Stormtrooper on a peg somewhere just to have that moment of like, to see this on a peg is a magical moment, right? But unfortunately they were all gone. No surprise.
Yeah, we're this close. And speaking of being this close, I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight this. We have all talked about this before. I think we were just talking about it the other day when we were talking yesterday. Yeah. Yes, I agree with this. We do need the updated hip articulation, especially if, Lewis, you pointed this out, if they're going to keep, releasing versions of Stormtroopers over and over again, they'd recoup their investment on this if they did. 100%. If they did just do the new hips. I struggle with that where it's like, do I want them at the expense of anything else? Because I know it'll take away from something a little bit, but it would be a wise investment.
It doesn't bother me too much, the hip articulation on this figure.
Me neither.
I think it would be a wise choice.
Yeah, I'd happily accept it updated, but yeah, again, I'm the same. I've got tons of this version. I'm not going to just chuck them all out if I get an updated hip,
Yeah.
I definitely would not mind them putting the right E11 blaster.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Which they have because they put it in the Night Trooper pack.
Yeah, it exists.
It exists.
It's right there. But all right, now let's jump back into being all sad and grumpy about stuff. What was the worst repack of the year? And we'll start with you, Toys Are the Way.
Poor Finn. Poor Finn.
Yeah,
that was so frustrating.
Same. Same.
I don't even know. Here was the opportunity to put that lightsaber in there, at least something.
Yep, that's all I wanted was a cool card back with the lightsaber, and the lightsaber is the accessory. Would it have been a hot seller still? Would that have made the difference? No, probably not. But you know what? I'm glad to have them in my collection in the Pantheon of TVC. But this was very low effort and kind of
it's just a rough figure to begin with.
It's got bad hips.
Yeah, it was never great before, and having it now is just like, I remember why I don't use this figure very often. And whatever photo reel update they did is pretty minimal.
It's negligible.
Yeah.
So
they painted the rifle up a little bit though.
Oh, good. That's where all the paint money goes. Gotcha.
Yeah, poor Finn.
Yeah,
it's not even the Finn that people really wanted,
No, it's not.
On March Madness multiple.
Well, I saw that all three of you had put Finn on your list, and I kind of felt I needed to stand up for him a little bit. So I said Cassian.
Yep.
And to be honest, it was either Finn or Cassian. But the reason I think Finn went slightly above him is there's a few reasons. Obviously, I'm not a carded collector. I don't collect things on cards, but this is the first time we've seen Finn come into TVC and actually been put on a TVC card. Mm-hmm. So although the figure is pretty bad, it's still nice to see him in TVC and actually represented. But I think more importantly, it's nice that we've actually seen a sequels figure come into TVC since the internet said that the sequels have been dropped by Disney and are being erased, So I actually think for me, the Finn was a little bit more of a win just because of those few things.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
Yeah, I'm not standing up for the figure in any way because I think the figure is terrible, but I just felt that it had that advantage. For me, the Cassian, it doesn't really offer a lot more. We've already got him in TVC. Yes, the photo reel perhaps was an improvement. you could argue that they've tried to bring him out with Andor being around, but at the moment we're not seeing Andor till well into next year. So again, they haven't really timed that particularly well anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. So for me, I think Cassian was a pointless, well, probably as pointless as Finn, but I just feel more pointless.
And that's why they went to fan channel. Unfortunately, they were linked up with Count Dooku, but and the definitive, almost definitive Phase 1 clone. But yeah,
you know what? Going back to that Finn in the card, also fail. That was the one opportunity to put him on the card with the lightsaber.
That's what I'm saying.
The best
yeah.
The one that was actually like exciting from the movie.
Yeah.
I think this was, Hasbro saw that Finn was repeatedly on, March Madness, and that there was demand to get any Finn in TVC, right? And so they did the easiest, laziest, cheapest thing that they could possibly do, and they just repacked this figure and said, all right, check, Finn's done. And I don't think we're ever going to get the Rise of Skywalker one.
Which
that's what worries me.
Tyler, that ties into my point way earlier when we were talking about March Madness when it comes to like asking for Anakin. We say we want Revenge of the Sith Anakin, and I fear Hasbro's just like, well, we just did on Anakin, so you can have that. That's good enough, right? Like, and Anakin is that's it. That's what you want. So, yeah.
Hopefully, like we can maybe see that Finn that everybody wants once we see some of that newer tooling from like the updated Toms coming, stuff like that. So maybe there's hope.
Yeah, as the library expands, I do think there will be more opportunity for some of these, maybe less overall clamored for things. But yeah. I did have my least favorite repack of the year. I had to put it in here. This guy.
He was my runner-up.
It's a great figure. I think it's a great figure. But why I ranked this low is one, it was on a single card. While at the same time at Walmart, the deluxe version with the charging port and all the extra accessories was actually cheaper to buy, which was perplexing. But then also they put the wrong right hand. They put a closed fist left hand. So he can't hold his rifle with a two-hand grip. And that piece, the correct hand with the open grip, exists. It's in the deluxe set. That's the one they should have put in. So this is a what is that sort of thing.
Very strange decision, that. Yeah.
I think they were trying to give you the best of both worlds there, but it kind of like fell back on them.
I can imagine that's what they've done. Someone said, oh, perhaps if we give him one fist, you can use him in that punching pose. And
include the one fist in the bubble. I'm sure that won't take up that much space.
Yeah, because there's no tooling required. It all 100% exists.
Yeah.
So
I'm also a little bit annoyed with this one because originally we were told he doesn't fit on a card.
Yeah.
Too big for a bubble, whatever.
And
he's on a standard card. Bubble. While
Fits
Cobb and other figures are starting to see that larger card size.
Yeah.
Just more frustration there.
It kind of goes back to Tyler, what you said about the paint and the justifications they have for certain little price bumps and presentations. And it's just like, ooh, some of this kind of does feel like you're lying.
Well, at least they came with the charging stations. So it did feel like a deluxe piece, to be fair. I remember at the time Tyler was kind of saying, but I want to army build 40 of these or whatever. I don't want to buy them all deluxe. Well, if you'd have known then that it was going to come out with one fist closed, it's not how you want to pose them anyway. It probably wouldn't have worked for you.
And the thing that kills me is both hands were tooled up. Both hands already exist. Why on earth would you pack in a closed fist hand that's non-functional? I don't like it. Just does not make any sense. But real quick, I just want to say for the 80 of you watching, only 12 people have voted. I put a poll in the chat for whether we should include Anakin and Arleel in the March Madness tournament. We want to hear your feedback. Please vote in the poll in the comments section.
Yes.
Please vote. Thank you. I'm going to run it for a few more minutes, and we need a lot more votes. So get your votes in.
Let's see. So this actually takes us now to new figures. So our best and our worst of the year. Do we want to do worst first, or best first.
Yeah, you could save the best till last. Yeah, do worst first.
There it
agree.
is. And I see Toys of the Way. Are you highlighting yours? Are you changing yours?
Real
No.
quick,
Okay.
I just want to address someone's question. Neon or Nine, isn't Anakin the Clone Wars armored version? Yes, but his lower half, which is the half we're talking about, is exactly the same as the Revenge of the Sith one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, from a March Madness perspective, when we say, ideally we want you to list characters that are all new, right? Half of that figure already exists now.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that when you're making your vote.
Yeah. Agreed.
More newness, the better.
That's my perspective, Radis, but I want to hear the community's perspective. So.
I'm just looking at how run a basis comment there. It made me laugh.
I can't make them all happy. All right, so let's go with our worst all new figures of the year. Tyler, you are up first. Who did you put in here?
Real quick, I just got to answer 9 again. Yes, I know it's not his Revenge of the Sith look. The point is that on March Madness, we ask people to list 100% newly tooled figures, and half of him exists.
Yeah, they can
So
reuse the parts from that Clone Wars version.
In the spirit of the tournament, it kind of conflicts with our rules.
Yeah,
that's the point.
And you can still campaign for those characters on your own. Make noise. Let Hasbro know in comments. Like, we still want to see Revenge of the Sith Anakin.
Very much so. And it ties in because this is a little bit of a mini campaign that I do think we need to bang the drum on in general, is the Battle for the Heroes thing, which was kind of sweeping a little bit earlier this year. We really do need Anakin and Obi-Wan in modern definitive formats in 3 3/4 inch. And so that is absolutely a thing that we all need to be screaming from the rooftops so Hasbro can hear it, so that they do take notice, especially as we enter into the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. But more on anniversaries later. Tyler, what do you hate? What did you hate?
This is for
new figures. Worst new figure of the year.
Let that hate consume you.
So we skipped best figure there.
We're ending with
okay. Gotcha. All right, for me, the worst new figure of the year is Hu Yang. I was so disappointed with the atrocious paint job of this figure.
Yeah,
it's completely the wrong color. I'm sorry, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
And I'm also gonna do a shout out for 8D8. Because any figure in the year of our maker 2024 without elbows is completely unacceptable in this line. That's not acceptable. Like, there's no figure that should ever not have elbows in this line. That's totally ridiculous. But anyway.
Listen, I love Hu Yang. I was super stoked for the hashtag Hu Yang gang getting this figure. I mean, not only did we get this, but we also got a Disney Parks version. So there were 2 3 3/4 inch versions of Hu Yang available this year. Previously, a character never before made, which was awesome. But I do agree it is disappointing that, the paint's not there and the arms on his back are not articulated. It's frustrating. And not only that, he doesn't even come with ignited training sabers. You can't really do much with that. So you had pointed that out in your review video. Toys Are the Way. What do you do with it? It's frustrating. It's a frustrating release. I get you.
It is. And it sucks because I really like Hu Yang as well. I was beyond excited to see that character, actually coming to our collection. But
so stoked.
At a minimum, that paint needed to be better.
It's funny though, if you put him against the Disney one, he looks so much better. So much better than this version. It's just the paint, really, that let him down.
He's a great figure. The articulation is boss, man. I like posing this figure a lot. When it comes to droids, they can do some really nice stuff. Of course, those arms in the back could have been better. It's really that paint.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel that. Lewis, who did you have as your least favorite new figure of the year?
See, again, I don't hate him, but I'm really sorry. I have to go Cobb Vanth. And I know there's a lot of people out there that like him. Sorry, Twin Sons. most anticipated figure for you, and I know you were really happy to get him. But for me, he's a figure that I've, like everybody else, we've waited ages to get him. I opened him up, I started pulling him around, and it's just some real flaws with the figure. Actually, that the tubes on the arm, on mine anyway, pop out all of the time. When you're trying to put him in certain poses, it's really difficult because you get that pose and then the hoses pop out. So you kind of constantly trying to put those in, and they're battling with where you want to put the arm. And then there's obviously the fact that there was the removable pieces, but not all of it's removable. So you can take the armor off, but you can't take the gauntlets off. So again, it's kind of like, why? What's the purpose of it? And then also, I think, again, Toys of the Way, I think you mentioned this on your review, is the helmet is slightly out of proportion. There's something a bit off about it. I can't put my finger on it. A bit squished, yeah. So again, it's I don't hate the figure at all. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate it, but there's just a lot of disappointment there, and I was really kind of like, I just felt disappointed when I opened it and started posing him around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was also, Lewis, my least favorite new figure of the year. A crushing disappointment for me because, again, it was just shy of the 4th anniversary of the character debuting. Wild. I hate that. I hate having to wait that long. But then, I understood the idea behind the play feature of the removable armor, but the execution was just so rough. It made the figure look and feel cheap to me. And it's very frustrating. And like the knee armor, then if you compare it to a Boba Fett, the knee armor is huge and weird looking. And that those tubes not coming off and the gauntlets, it's just very weird. I found it an incredibly frustrating release, and just compounded by the fact of how disappointed I was after waiting so long and campaigning so long for him. So
yeah, I think they really made some of these decisions just try to get us like a 2-for-1.
Yeah,
I mean, the face sculpt though,
it's great. It's great.
Absolutely great. I mean, there's some really good parts about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really nice redeeming things when it comes to the figure in general. It's just like to try to get that 2-for-1 and sacrifice some of the Mandalorian armor detail and like quality. It's just like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Finn. This was it's very much just like
like I had to make that custom one that I did, like cutting up that other Boba Fett and modding it together. But
I have to agree with the Finn here in the chat that they were so focused on how can we do this cheaply and efficiently so that we can also do the unarmored version, that they forgot they needed to nail this one first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they put the cart before the horse on this.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And also, real quick, we've been averaging 80 to 90 people. Really appreciate everyone tuning in right now.
Thank you, everybody.
Number one, there's only 36 votes, so that's less than half of the people viewing this stream. Please vote on the poll, number one. And number two, if you don't mind hitting that little thumbs up button, really helps us out a lot. Thank you.
Like and subscribe for more Star Wars Vintage Collection.
I know.
Do it.
It's obnoxious.
No, we got to do it.
I get it, but it helps. All right.
Yeah.
So
do it and smash that like.
Yeah. Just one last point on this. Obviously, again, it's a deluxe figure.
Yeah. And you know what? Do we want to talk? No, we'll get into the.
No, we'll let Tyler rant on that in a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
more on that at 11. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It just
coming soon, but
it's tough. I know the correct answer is 88 for worst new figure of the year, but it's still this is one that disappointed me. Then let's see. Toys of the Way, you had mentioned one. You had mentioned 88. Yep.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the time to go scramble to put the actual right picture of just 88 in here. So sorry. The whole set's not bad. I'm not trying to dump on that. It's just the 88 I didn't love.
Just a bit of a letdown because like it wasn't one that I was like, yeah, I really got to get 88 into my collection. I was like hyped and waiting for this one. But once I got it, and like also once we saw that like it wasn't gonna have elbows, it was kind of like, ooh, why did all right.
Yeah. And also Hasbro now have the opportunity to repaint that as a skeleton crew version with all the tattoos all over him, like we saw this week. And now it's kind of already a flawed figure, so you don't want them to reuse it again unless they fix it. And it's those things, isn't it? If you get it right the first time, then when you get that opportunity to reuse these things, people will be all over it. It's like Cassian's boots all over again. I would have loved to see a 4-pack of all of those guys.
And
In those Imperial disguises, but because those boots are wrong, I just don't want to see it. I just don't want to see them use that until they get it right.
And here's the thing: if they do release this again with the tattoos, like you said, and they do retool it, people are going to lose their minds because because the original '96 one is jacked up.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a no-win situation for Hasbro. Cutting corners like this. So,
yeah, it's just kind of they put the hurdles in front of themselves. They're putting the stick in their own spokes on some of these things, and then it's our fault. But
poor 88.
Yeah.
Overall, he's actually a nice figure. There's a lot of things that I do like. There, once again, when it comes to droids, there's some really interesting points of articulation on him, but he seems to be torturing us more.
I don't need him to be super action packed, but there is an expectation of basic articulation on some things.
Also, as many people have pointed out, he needs those arms to use his torture machine that actually exists in our scale. And
that's tough. Well, all right, let's talk about the best. Let's see if I can find all those. Who did we have going up first? Best new figure of the year, would it be me? All right. Well, this is an easy one. I like Jedi. I like cartoons. Here we go. Kanan.
Yeah.
Easy. I don't think I need to make a case for this. This figure is absolutely incredible. That is just I exceeded any and all expectations. I love this figure. I want more figures of this caliber. I've waited so long, and I'm so stoked that we have the one coming with the Ghost from the later seasons versions with all the swappable heads. But dang, this was just a blast getting this figure finally.
Yeah,
agreed.
It's an exceptional figure for sure.
Yeah. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. It just nailed it. They nailed it. Congrats to Hasbro.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that's negative about this figure.
I love that. So let's just move on to another win. Tyler.
It's got to be Count Dooku for me, man. Figure of the year, because finally getting this figure in the line is just a triumph, right? For so many years, the community has campaigned for this character. Such an obvious, glaring omission, right?
He won March Madness 2023.
Yeah. It's very satisfying to finally get this character in the line. Also, as far as new figures go, people have different opinions on the different media sources and whatever. There wasn't a whole lot for me that really excited me. It was actually mostly the retools and repaints this year that were really exciting for me.
Adding diversity to the line. Yeah.
But I could have potentially gone for Princess Leia for figure of the year, but the plastic dress really limiting her posing is a buzzkill. So they did a soft goods lower for Morgan Elsbeth. I don't understand why they didn't do that here, and so that just killed it for me. I don't know. I don't get it.
Revisit
that.
Also, I want to point out, Tyler, that this is one of those figures that changes everybody's opinion of, that one was good enough before.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah. This figure demolishes that old Dooku.
Yeah.
And your videos where your posing videos where you just have your figure doing different poses on your rotating display table, it really just shows how exceptional this figure is. And I remember a few years ago people saying why do we need a new Dooku? All he does is stand around, and I'm like, did we watch the same movies? He's in 2 really intense lightsaber fights, not to mention all the stuff in the Clone Wars. What are you talking about?
He's one of the best swordsmen.
What are you talking? Yeah.
In the movie.
Literally, what are you talking about? So anyway, this is a phenomenal figure. It's so satisfying. Like I said,
also, that portrait is just.
And the fact as well that we got him right at the beginning of the year, and we're still talking about him being one of the best now. It just shows, because sometimes, again, you talk about, you've got this new figure and it's, oh, this is my favorite because I've just got it in. But, you know, when you can actually look back across a line of the year and go, yeah, he's still up there with the best, then, it just justifies him being there.
Yeah. And this is one that they can still redo. Do it Clone Wars style, give him the hood, give it a little bit of a different paint job.
Well, and I just highlighted this from Radis Forstad, you know, the Tales of the Jedi version of him, where very minimal tooling would have to go into it. I think just torso and tunic skirts and a new cape, a new head as well. But yeah, so that's good. Let's see who else we got. Who's up next? Is that going to be Lewis? What's your favorite?
Yeah. I think we're both the same anyway. I totally agree with you on Kanan, but I can't choose between him and Zeb, to be honest with you. Figure of the year, it's both of them. They're just so good. I can't pick one without the other.
Yeah. That's I think Toys of the Way. You had Zeb,
my dude Zeb.
Heck yeah, man!
It's just like really, really impressive. Feels wonderful. It's got so much articulation, detail. It's just like masterpiece right there.
Yeah, I have no faults with that figure, and you can pose him very well. His center of gravity is very good. He's not tipping over constantly.
Yeah, which is
very impressive.
Surprising. You know, he's got weird feet. Like and they nailed the articulation. Like, I've never had a problem with this figure like falling over. It's just very well balanced. I don't know.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to see when it comes to Deluxe. Something that's like newly tooled, it kicks ass, and it's got a lot of different paint and like some accessories.
And another one that just wouldn't fit on a card, and yet we're getting them on a regular old card with the Ghost. But I digress.
That does drive me a little crazy.
I just want to do honorable mention real quick. I meant to mention him when it was my turn, but whatever. I'm driving, so haha, gotcha. It's gonna be Jedi Master Soul. Just because, again, Jedi, I loved seeing it all new. It's been so long since we've gotten a from the ground up prequel-ish style Jedi. This is incredible. And also the soft goods cloak. They're really hitting a stride with these cloaks. I know we've got some coming up in the future that also just look astounding. So some really great work went into some of the new figures this year. So
I think that figure is really successful too, because I've seen a lot of people do a lot of customs.
I bought many.
Right.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, again, while I have the soapbox for a moment, no, they cannot use his tooling for Anakin and Obi-Wan. No. He's got unique patterns, the piping on his tabards. No, they can't reuse him, and he's a little too small for them anyway. No. Anyway, the end.
Discussion over. There's no debate. There's nothing.
There's no maybe, just done. No, period. Over.
It's a no. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Well, hey, you know what? We've been talking for almost 2 hours here, and we do just have a little bit longer to go. Bear with us because we're in the home stretch. We're at the part where we're going to talk about our overall thoughts when it comes to this year.
Only 5 more pages. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, you said just kidding, but are you? I just scrolled.
Scroll through Tyler's.
Yes. Yeah, but I already know, I have plenty to say, and I've said plenty on the podcast as well. So I'll keep my bit a little brief, but let's just start this off. What did you find was missing or lacking this year when it came to TVC? And you know what? That's a rhetorical question because I know exactly where to start. What's this?
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot you made that graphic.
Yeah, I did too, until I got really angry again. So yes, let me just contextualize a little bit where all of the X's for the TVC, these figures, yes, almost all of these do exist in one form or another in the 3 3/4 inch scale. But don't read the small text. I don't think you can anyway, because I got 2011 instead of 2012. But yes, this list, they exist in non-retro 3 3/4 inch in some capacity, but with woefully outdated sculpting and articulation. The newest item in our scale from these has parts dating back to 2012 at the latest, and some of them are still at their best from 1999. It's tough. Even Epic Hero Series, which I didn't put on here, got a brand new Darth Maul. And upcoming Hero Mashers has a Darth Maul.
I really wish you actually made a graphic of Obi-Wan from the Phantom Menace, the figure we have, on fire, because that is the worst figure ever.
Yeah. Which I love. Oh, the vintage collection one? Yes.
Yeah.
Horrible. Horrible. The tiny little pin neck and giant weird head. Yeah.
And don't forget, Disney did TC14 as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So even Disney put something out.
Tyler, go ahead and go off, King. I know you got some notes here.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of thoughts on this one. So bear with me, guys. Okay. Virtually every company and every line from Hallmark to Hot Toys got the memo on celebrating the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary, except TVC. TVC got a fairly robust Return of the Jedi 40 celebration. So to have TPM 25 completely ignored, and the prospect of Revenge of the Sith 20 product not looking any better, it just really feels like they're ignoring an entire demographic of the collecting consumer base, the prequels generation, right? It does not feel good to be an afterthought or feel less valued, right, as a demographic. Even if, Mr. Stevie and Tim from Boss Bounty, they keep hinting that, 2026 is going to be a new focus. It's going to be a new story. Like, okay, great. Even if it is prequel trilogy, that's great, but it's late. Okay. Like, would celebrating an OT movie a year late be acceptable? Would it be acceptable for Return of the Jedi 40 to be celebrated a year late? No, the community would lose its freaking mind, right? So why is it okay to do that to the prequels? It's not, is my opinion. So I think it's pretty insulting, frankly, to a huge demographic of collectors that are hungry for product. And I understand that the Cantina HasLab needs to be supported, but it seems like they're really going all in on Return to Tatooine when, one, it seems like we've skipped right past support for the Ghost, and two, 2025 should be a focus on Revenge of the Sith 20. Okay, because that's the big thing of the year. You're already seeing images of the logo coming out. It's going to be the same thing all over again from this year with TPM 25. It's going to be the same thing.
And it's going to be on the cinema. It's going to be on, it's going to be on the screens.
Everybody and their mother is going to be celebrating Revenge of the Sith 20, and then there's going to be TVC celebrating A New Hope.
Yeah.
Why? You've got 2027 right around the corner. Why are we celebrating A New Hope like 2 years in a row almost? It's baffling to me. I don't understand it. And I know that's not going to be a popular statement. I know there's going to be all kinds of people who are upset with me. Like, okay, well, I'm upset. Yeah. I'm upset at feeling like an afterthought and as a collecting demographic. So
the commonly cited thing is the retail poison of the 2012 stuff. That's, I get it. That's easy to point to, but the context of it is it's not 2012 anymore. It's not 2012. Opinions on the prequels have changed. A whole new generation. They're 12 years older now. These are, a lot of folks that were growing up on the prequels are adults now that have the disposable income or the income to, buy these things and to support this stuff. There's a new generation with some buying power. It's a different climate for the prequels, and it is so boneheaded to not celebrate them. And we got some prequel figures this year, and they called it was the Dooku, the Clone, and the Jango, and they're like, well, we'll celebrate the prequels in general for the Phantom Menace 25. You get these three. We asked for those 2 years ago for the 20th of Attack of the Clones. Did we get them then? No, we had to wait 2 years, and then they were like, oh, good enough. Right. Pat on the head. See you later. So that's why I do get worried about if we let off the gas asking for Return of the Revenge of the Sith Anakin, even though stuff exists. Like, I don't want to let him slip out of the public eye, out of the consciousness, out of the discussion when it comes to high profile stuff, so that Hasbro does see it. It's like, we need these main characters. If you're going to make the mains, and that includes all of them.
Yep.
So
yeah, that whole prequel trilogy didn't sell well back in the day. Stuff like, quote Hu Yang, the past is the past, move forward. There are a lot of people who are now of an age where they're buying collectibles.
Mhm.
They even have children that they're going to take to possibly see Revenge of the Sith in a theater.
Yeah.
And then maybe go to a store.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to have a TVC option of a figure to share with your child. Like,
Mhm.
I grew up
And
with
you know what those
that scale.
you know what those people
Yeah, you're already going to say it.
yeah, and the people in that demographic are buying Black Series
Mhm.
Because it's
because
available.
that's the line that's serving them.
Yep.
Yep.
And the thing is as well, though, you could talk about how, you know, Phantom Menace tanked the line before and nearly tanked the line before, but there are sensible options. We're not talking about absolutely flooding TVC with every Phantom Menace figure you can think of, or every Revenge of the Sith figure you can think of, you know, whichever anniversary you're talking about. There are sensible choices within that can be made that will always
Key
sell.
updates.
Yeah, the figures that will always sell. And so you just got to be sensible.
Yeah, we're asking for good figures. We're not asking for like Gra again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, John is asking for Klieg and Kitster and Maul, but like, you know.
To be fair, I would take a deluxe Klieg.
So would I. I would be pretty stoked about that. But
I wouldn't say no.
So yeah, that's a tough one, man. Tyler.
But,
yeah.
Other than that, as far as what was missing this year, in a word, diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Out of a total of 66 total figures from all offerings, right? So that's including, you know, 4 per trooper pack, just total figure offerings, right? 16 are Mandalorians. That's 24% of the figures in the line this year.
Yeah.
Almost a quarter. So 1 in 4 figures is a Mandalorian. That is horrendous for diversity.
Same Mandalorian.
And yet,
there's 3
three
Din
the same, yeah.
And all of those, out of all of those, we're still not getting the easiest slam dunk, slightly different reuse of the Mandalorian sculpt, like the Super Commando sculpt for the Clone Wars Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. They don't have to tool up anything new. I mean, maybe ahead if they'd want to be cool. I'd love that. But like, dude, what? It's right there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, if Tyler's finished, I would just add to that when you said
celebrate Tyler real quick.
what's missing this year, and when you look at that graphic, the thing that jumped out at me is aliens. I mean, when you think of Star Wars and the depth and the characters and the you know, what makes it exciting, what makes it interesting? We've got Zeb there, which is arguably one of the best figures of the year. Yeah. Other than that, you've got Grogu. And then really the only other 2 things that excited me were these 2, you know, these 2 pilots with the heads, because again, it's like, oh, you know, they're a bit interesting. They've got a bit of color. They've got a bit of, you know, they're a bit. And so when you look at that, I think one of the reasons it's so bland is because it's just all much of the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we should flood it with Cantina aliens or, you know, anything, but I think again, it's, as Tyler said, diversity, and there just isn't enough. There's not enough diversity.
You know what would have been great for that actually, Lewis, is a little bit of pre-planning with our 1 skeleton crew figure right there to maybe have a pirate of some sort, maybe released.
Exactly. We've got a show now which is just absolutely rife with aliens. You know, you could do all sorts of packs. Again, we just had a Cantina, you know, HasLab gone through, so there could be some stuff coming to that, but that's all next year. This year, it just, for whatever reason, it just seems like they've taken out a lot of that stuff that, for me, is what Star Wars collecting's always been about. It's having those quirky things in there with the things like the Stormtroopers and the Mandalorians. Don't get me wrong, we all love that, but there's got to be a mix.
Yeah.
Just want to say real quick, thank you, Riley Bob, for the super chat. We appreciate
thank
you
you
very much. Always appreciate it.
So, you know, we just talked about, we just went off on that little negative tangent. So let's kind of pull ourselves back from the ledge just a little bit. And what do you think was done well this year? What are some areas of praise or encouragement that you may have for Hasbro? What worked for you? Tyler, go ahead and take it off. Kick it off. Don't take
World
it off.
building. World building offerings, right? One area where they did have good diversity, figures aside, is the world building offerings. You had beasts, vehicles, diorama pieces, everything that makes 3.75 the world building scale is represented here, right? TVC having a HasLab this year was great as well. I think that they should be an annual thing for TVC, regardless of whether there's a TBS one as well in the same calendar year. Don't care about them. Let them do their own thing. That's their problem. But there should be a HasLab, in my opinion, every year for TVC. I'm not saying every 6 months or every 3 months, but I think we could do one per year, right?
Yeah.
So
I will say though, just
in
on
that
that
sense,
point,
I think
just with the cantina being so close after the ghost, we didn't have the ghost in hand, and then the whole cantina thing. So it's but hey, for more on that, scroll back on our channel and listen to any of our previous discussions on the HasLab.
I think it would be smart of them to do maybe, a HasLab every year would be great, but I know that's financially a little challenging for some people. But if they don't want to do consecutive HasLabs, perhaps a larger Pulse exclusive item like the throne room.
Yeah.
So something like achievable. You don't necessarily have to pre-order it then. Maybe there'll be a couple extra units when it actually arrives and stuff like that. But I really like seeing that potential for Pulse larger items.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I do want to highlight this as well. Yes, I agree. The last two HasLabs have knocked out significant parts of March Madness. The general asks, the consistent asks. So that is a huge, really cool thing. So moving forward, I do hope that we continue to see that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
True.
But yeah,
very true.
Yeah. Lewis.
So for me, one of the things I bang on about most is about having things in a timely manner, about having things that represent the shows that we're watching or the films that may be on at the screens at the time. And so for me this year, I think the one thing that was nice was that we actually got Jordan and Arwood whilst he's on screen. We've got him in hand. I did actually put a little caveat on that, is that, obviously we know the show was delayed. I know the figure was pushed because the VC number shows it was obviously planned much earlier. So whether or not that just played to Hasbro's advantage and they managed to get it right. But I mean, for me, it was still nice to have that. And so I think I said this to you guys the other week. It's a little bit bittersweet because I love having that figure. I love having it from a show that's currently on, but we've got nothing else to go with it. So it's a bit like, but yeah, that's what they did get right. So
yeah, they really got to think about that. You need at least two from a show.
Yeah. Toys of the Way, you'd written some things here as well on the positives.
Yeah, in terms of the positives, the new figures we did get are brilliant. I really like some of the stuff we saw. The Rebels figures are some of the best that we have ever seen in the line. Can't say enough good things about them. Awesome
Agreed.
stuff.
Yes.
Also,
thank you, Ben Swallow.
Also, the world building in general has been pretty wizard. All the play sets allowed me to add a lot to my collection of photography, and I just have to give them a lot of praise for that. And the blurg. The blurg, once we got that and I opened it up, it felt like as energetic as that first season of The Mandalorian. I was like, wow, this was from so long ago, but I'm so excited to finally have this thing.
It's how I wanted to feel about Cobb and how I didn't feel about Cobb.
Yes. But yeah, the blurg just, man, I have one right here. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying to have that.
So satisfying.
It is great.
Yeah.
So satisfying. The Mando, you could have had some rocker ankles, but we'll let that slide. But the blurg is fantastic. I've bought too many of these already, probably. You needed them for Cara Dune, Queel.
Yeah.
Put clone troopers on them, as many people in the community have pointed out. And it's just a great release.
Good old Jag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
guys.
I hope they do more with it. Or repaint it for a Rebels version, even with the little spots on their head.
Just while we're talking about stuff that was done well and praise and whatnot, Tyler, I just wanted to take a moment to go back to your favorite reuse, partial tool reuse of the year of the Night Troopers. And I just wanted to highlight how awesome it was to see someone get not everything, but get a huge chunk of what they've been asking for their collection of what they want to see in this line. And, your dedication to army building and to this line is something to applaud. I am so jealous of you. How do you do it? We'll never know. What's his secret?
That's why he's moving out.
Yeah.
But overtime.
Yeah. I just wanted to take a second though to just celebrate this kind of stuff, like the world building.
I love
the
that
things
shot
that go together. Good Lord, man. I know, you've been feeling a little bit down about stuff, and I'm glad with the Heir to the Empire 3-pack, kind of injecting some life into feeling more positive about stuff. But just this stuff, Tyler, I look at this and I'm like, this is TVC. This is 3 3/4 inch collecting. This is so awesome to see this kind of stuff. So kudos to you, dude. And
thank you, man.
And I'll highlight this very much so.
Accurate.
So shout out to you, bud.
That's very sweet. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
And thank you guys in the comments.
Totally agree,
guys.
Yeah, it's really good stuff, Tyler. That's like one of those pictures that'll live on for a long time, and people will be like, "Wow, that was."
I'm just trying to end up on Pinterest, all right? Like 10 years from now, just looking through random shots. I'm like, oh, that was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's going to be like a picture of like, man, this is my financial devastation. What was that?
This is why my 401k sucks.
Yeah. It just reminds me of what I posted the other week of just some of my lightsabers. And it's like, well, hey, why don't I own a house? Oh, yeah. That's why. But yeah, dude. And I just I look at that and I think this is just a crystallizing image of the year. So even though we're about to maybe talk about some stuff of what could have been better and having some concerns moving forward about stuff, I just want to take a moment to soak in this image, soak in what is done by collectors in this community, just in general, and this kind of stuff. This is what we do it for. So yeah, happy beeps. And even though some of it may seem a little bit dark and grim when we look at some things on a top-down level, there are some huge wins to celebrate even in the darkest of times. So
yeah, I just to comment on this real quick, since you happened to, I wasn't sure. He asked me to send him these pictures before the stream, and I was like, I don't know what you're doing with these, but I guess we'll figure it out. But I just want to say, obviously I have plenty of criticisms for this year, but credit to Hasbro for executing pretty darn well on that set, and getting us our Lars Thrawn, despite its flaws, right? It's very satisfying to me to be able to recreate that scene that was so instantly iconic for me, and such a spectacular moment, seeing one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars finally come into live action. It was just it was like a leap out of my chair moment, and those are rare. And so to be able to recreate that with figures brought me a lot of joy. Not my wallet, but it brought me a lot of joy. So yeah, that was definitely the highlight of my collecting year, without question. So
yeah. So taking that all into account, the happy beeps, the positives, the love, the care, what are some things that could have been better? And as we move forward, what are some concerns that we do have? I have in here, paint and dropping quality, and some of, the implications of price increases and some packaging issues. Several of my figures arrived this year with legs bent totally out. Like, it's tough. I hope we can see some of that, but I know I worry because it took them how many years to be like, oh yeah, no, we finally figured out the bubble scuffing problem. And that was on their radar for 4 years.
Which still hasn't seemed to have been sorted out.
No, they didn't sort it whatsoever. And
also someone had one, was it Twin Sons, had a bubble scuff on the figure that came out of was it the E-Wing? There was a figure that came out
Dang.
of a pack that actually had the rings on it, and you think, well, hold on a minute, if this is because they're rubbing together, how's that happen?
Well, they had to have been shipped to when they were packaged up. They probably were shipped in boxes
Perhaps
of just
that's it.
the
Yeah.
droid. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They've
and
got top men working on it.
top
Yeah.
men. Yeah, so those are some of the things I'm concerned about. I know we don't have to get too far into it, but
Ooh.
Tyler, I see you have another large chunk of text here. But before you do, I do want to go ahead and ask, Lewis, you wrote something. You want to speak to that a little bit?
My concern going forward, if you like, is price versus quality. This is a thing that we're seeing now, and we've talked about it tonight quite a lot when we're looking at things like IG-12. You look at Hu Yang. The figures that have frustrated us the most, the elbows, have all been because Hasbro are telling us, look, we can't do it for this price point. And so for me, my worry going forward is that something has to give. Either figures have to go up in price, which I don't think will go down well with people. We're already paying a lot. We're always, particularly with deluxe figures, we're paying a lot, and we still aren't getting the quality. So my worry is, and I don't know the answer to it, but it's where do you go when you've got the price wanting to go up and up and up, and the quality still trying to force itself down? How do we find that middle? And I know there's been a lot of talk in the community where people sort of go, "Oh, Hasbro should lose the license. We should get someone else to do it." And I don't agree with that at all. I never have done. And I would just slightly going off track on that a little bit. I don't collect anything other than Star Wars 3.75. That's all I collect. But recently I've jumped into Walking Dead figures because Heir are now doing 1/18 scale Walking Dead. And for me, that's like, yeah, I'm in on that because it's the scale I collect, and I love the zombie stuff and the rest of it. They're going off. But those figures are looking to be really good quality. They've got a lot of accessories, and they're getting things like swappable hands. It's coming with them as standards. They look really great, but they're like, well, in terms of dollars, they're $30+.
They're very
so yes, you can get the quality and you can get these things that look great, but that's what you're going to pay for them. Plus, you're probably going to get a handful of releases a year. You're not going to get what we get from Hasbro of, where we've just said, what, 56 figures, was it? Depending on how you look at it.
Only starting to get a little bit better with their articulation. I have some of their other figures. From,
the early stuff isn't great.
Not great.
No.
Hasbro does really remarkable things.
And that's the thing. Yeah, and I think Hasbro have done a really good job. As much as we moan, Hasbro have done a really good job at keeping the quality here and the price here. And you can see they're always fighting that. They are always fighting that. And so, I think we have to give them some credit. As much as there's things I hate and say, the figures we've picked out and that we've looked at tonight that we don't like, or the ones that we've got the biggest issues with, are because of this issue. But I think we have to look at the fact and say, well, had Hasbro painted Hu Yang, what would he have cost? Had, IG-88 had elbows, what would that set have cost? And there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance somewhere. And I don't know the answer, but that's my worry. That's my worry going forward.
Balance the scales and balance the budget. So
now the Heir figures, are they really, rigid plastic, hard, tough, rigid plastic in comparison to the rubberiness of some Hasbro stuff?
They're stiffer. Yeah. Yeah.
But they also feel like they could break.
Yeah.
I've heard that as a common thing. Yeah. I just pre-ordered the Captain Pike from Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which I was excited. That's one of my favorite Star Trek shows now. And I'm excited to see a 3 3/4 inch offering for that. So I hope they continue that line. But yeah, it's pricey. It's like $25-$30 a figure.
Exactly.
And I know I'll only be probably getting 3 to 4, 1 to 4 per year, maybe. I don't know how that's going to work out. So,
and that doesn't include, like, say, Heir was to make a Star Wars toy. What about the license fee?
Yeah.
Well, exactly that. You start putting that on top, that could be a $50 figure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like you said, Evan, we give Hasbro a lot of grief, but there is no other company that can deliver TVC quality at the current cost, right? Other companies, maybe you'll get cheaper, but your quality is also going to go down too. Or you could maybe get more quality, but your price point's going to go up, right? Joy Toys, Haya, that's really expensive per figure. You're talking $30-$40 per figure.
Mhm.
Do you want to pay that? I don't want to pay that to try to army build stuff. Forget it. Right. So, and then on the other hand, okay, we want cheaper stuff. Well, then you're going to get stuff that looks like Mattel's Jurassic Park line. And do those look good? No, they do not. They look
Dinosaurs look
awful.
good. The people,
Yeah.
Right. They look awful. So these people out here that are like, we should be getting TVC 2.0 quality for $10. You're dreaming, pal. Like it's never coming back.
There's a lot of
Sorry.
stuff that we should be getting for what it used to cost 10, 20 years ago, but alas, that's not how it works. But
Right.
also,
Inflation's a
with
thing.
like Haya Toys and some of these other companies that actually do like 1/18 scale stuff, I see that they still have like pins on like the V joint, whereas like Hasbro is making these figures without that at this scale that basically looks like a nice like statue of them put into a realistic form. Their ability to make things is
Hasbro are definitely the leaders by a long way in terms of the technology and what they can actually produce. 100%.
There's no alternative. So all these people saying another company should, what company? What company are you going to get the same quality TVC that you're getting right now for an equivalent price point? I'll wait. There isn't one. There isn't one.
A magical company off on a planet that might be a myth, like
maybe in some alternate reality, Doctor Strange, but not in the world we're living in. Okay, it doesn't exist. I'm sorry.
So I mean, I'm going forward. I still think, and again, we said this tonight. We're seeing some of the best figures Hasbro have ever produced this year. I think when you look at Zeb, when you look at Kanan, I don't think you can go back through the entire line and ever find a figure that's as good as that. Dark Times Vader. I mean, it's just phenomenal figures, and I think all we can hope for going forward is that Hasbro can continue to give us new figures of that quality, and just do it well. That's all we can do as collectors. That's all we can hope for. What I don't want to see is it dropping back in quality, where we're starting to. So already we've talked about this, but we're seeing 2 figures that are being brought forward next year, which have both got swivel hips. Well, that's a worry. Because when we see that drop in quality, and we've seen it before, we saw it with the Black Series 3.75. We've seen it other times throughout collecting. It's not a good place to be.
It causes a mass exodus from the community, and I don't think the line would recover again.
No,
I don't think TVC would return again.
Say that you have Dr. Evazan in your collection, and they're doing a repack. Well, maybe if you had updated articulation, you might be more inclined to buy that figure again.
Right. Yeah.
Like, look at Darth Vader. We've had countless Darth Vader, but they finally did one that was like a slam dunk. And people were like, I will buy that.
We bought it 4 times in the last year.
Yeah. And none of us have known about it.
No, because it's an exceptional figure.
Yeah.
I will say, like, for a period of time, the tooling library was probably in a deep, dark hole, and they've really been building it up, and it's nice. I just want to see them continue that progression and just not flip back when it comes to, like, let's go a little lighter on the paint applications and stuff like that, because you just need to keep this quality going at, a nice trajectory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my Star Wars guys, there's sort of, I know we don't want to start dunking on Black Series too much, but I do feel that balance of, Black Series seem to be, they get endless, everything, released characters, new stuff. And I feel that, again, going forward, I would like to see TVC close that gap for what they get. I don't care what Black Series get. I don't, I'm not one of these people who says, oh, they shouldn't get that or don't give it to them. I just want to see us getting the same.
I want it scares me when it's like I mentioned it earlier, hours ago now, of just when something doesn't do well in Black Series, it hurts our chances of seeing it. But it's while there's a lot of overlap maybe in the target audiences or how they think the consumers are gonna, buy these things, there is some stark differences in buying habits and, priorities between both lines. So it's like, say, Black Series didn't really care about Ewok Village Leia whatsoever. We would love that. We want that. We're asking for it. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yep. I was just
So-
thinking of Jackson. Yeah, wrong
Yeah.
scale. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who's that green bunny? So, toys of the way.
Wabbit
Did you
season.
have some concerns moving forward? I know you've touched on some stuff, but
Yeah, pretty much like the same things that we've kind of been going on and on about. Like the quality and paint issues are a little concerning. I don't think they're absolutely horrible, but like Bo-Katan was definitely when you look at it compared to the first time that they released that figure, you're like, okay, well, there's a drastic change in paint application from this figure.
Yeah.
It's almost like she went back in time and her armor is now
It got cleaner.
Yeah, it got cleaner.
Yeah.
So that's a little concerning. And then just the lack of Target and Walmart exclusive,
Yes.
It's nice to get more into the line, whether, it's a simple Trooper repaint or something, but having possibly 4 extra releases in the year is more TBC. It's more stuff that we can add to our collection. But they just need to be obviously smart about it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, just that retail investment is definitely key to growing the line. I know a lot of people hate exclusives. We all have dealt with it. Smash cards, everything selling out within a second of trying to pre-order it, but there needs to be a nice balance, and Hasbro needs to work better with those retailers to try and
that's really it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler, we've hinted at it a few times now, and I think it may as well mention it. The deluxe cards. I feel similarly to you on some parts of this, but what are you thinking here?
So I actually have a bone to pick with the community and also with Hasbro, but this one is for you guys in the audience. So, the community demanded that Hasbro do away with those dreaded boxes for the deluxe offerings, right? Those ugly, stupid boxes, right? And so now we have a standardized, slightly oversized card, right? And bubble deluxe offering that is, slightly larger. People demanded everything has to be in bubbles. Well, things like the Dark Trooper charging station and the E-Web are not going to fit in that bubble. Okay. And those were the things that actually helped justify an offering be classified as deluxe, right? Those were the things that we were a little bit more willing to swallow as deluxe because it felt like you were getting more plastic in the box, right? Now it's just going to be slightly oversized figures or an excuse to charge for paint or more accessories. And I don't think the perceived value is going to be there for the price point that they want. I think deluxe offerings are really going to struggle going forward as a result of that and may not last as an expression, right? And I got to be honest with you guys, we did that to ourselves. Okay. Hasbro has also, for their part, and this is the issue with Hasbro that I have, Hasbro decided to start numbering the deluxe offerings, which are not the same size. Yeah, I am. I'm going at it, man. All right, so they decided to start numbering the deluxe offerings as if they blend in seamlessly with the 300 plus mainline 6x9 card backs. They don't. I think this is a terrible, nonsensical decision that damages collecting habits for MOC carded collectors because they've ruined the aesthetics of the lineup, right? You have people like Evan who they buy star cases and they put their figures in a nice, pretty line on their wall or whatever, right? And all the figures are the same size. And then all of a sudden you have this jarring Cobb Vanth.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it
what are
ruins
you
my
doing?
measurements.
Yeah, it really does.
I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand. I don't understand, Hasbro, how we are like 9 years into the vintage collection and nearly 400 figures into this line, and you're still making baffling mistakes like this. I don't understand. Like, how do you not understand by now what is okay to do with the line and what is a terrible decision?
Yeah.
I have to wonder.
I don't understand.
I have to wonder though. Let's take the Snow Trooper for example. They would be crazy not to bring that out with an E-Web. I'm not sure if they've got plans to do that, but they really should have plans to do that. Surely they will bring the box back for that, because there's no other way they can package it. Simple as that.
I think they will.
They haven't said the
this is
boxes
for
are gone for TVC. So in terms of the Snowtrooper with an E-Web, I don't see why he wouldn't go back in a box. They're still doing Speeder Bikes, Blurg, all of those are still in box format, aren't they? So just because they've now switched to the bubble doesn't mean that they will have to go with bubble for everything they do. I think they still have that option to go with a box.
Maybe.
But yeah, but I agree with you. I think that the deluxe card is an odd one. I mean, again, I'm not carded. I open everything, but it's just weird the choices that they're making, because Sabine, it comes with a howler, is on a wider card, and I don't understand that at all. Like, she's in a box, so you can't see her on a wider card, and she's not particularly big in terms of a figure and with her packing. So why the bigger card for that? I don't know. It's some really strange decisions.
Yeah.
Big bubble.
Yeah.
Almost
And someone mentioned the Sith Trooper as well, the deluxe Sith Trooper. Yeah, that.
You know what I think the problem is, and they're trying to make it work, and I don't think it's working either. Is like, so to put these in a case of 8 or whatever, it just doesn't really fit.
No.
If you had the same size bubble, it would be too big to fit in there. So I wonder if they found a box that they already have that fits that card with 2 of them sandwiched together and stuff. Which works for shipping, but it doesn't work for the collecting aesthetic.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. I personally like this better.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I know it's probably 4 hours past Lewis's bedtime, so let's kind of marathon sprint through the rest of this. And Lewis, if you need to bow out, let us know.
I'm fine.
I just want to kind of speed through then, our general vibes. How did we feel about the year overall? And then let's just look ahead at 2025 real quick, and then we'll be done. We've been going for a long time. I just want to kick something off here when it comes to looking at the year as a whole. These are my closing thoughts on that. I was, of course, disappointed and agree with some of the stuff that we just talked about over the past couple hours. But weirdly enough, I think the biggest thing that bummed me out was kind of the prevalence of bad attitudes and a lot of negativity taking center stage in this community. I'm not going to touch on the discourse around, certain media properties because I don't want to deal with that. I'm just kind of talking about, there was just a weird underlying meanness and some nasty stuff around the HasLab, people acting really weird about it. And then even, just a lot of doom and gloom and whatnot started getting boosted through the megaphone pretty recently and by some pretty prominent voices. And it's just been kind of tough. I really personally struggled with staying engaged this year. It was hard. It was hard to not take, some of it and just I'm really tired. I just want to collect toys and leave. But yeah, I think I get it. Things have been tough, but I'm in it for the happy beeps, and it's been really hard watching a lot of the misery and stuff kind of happen, and weird bad faith narratives and whatnot. So I have a lot of hope, and I'm looking to the future just a little bit here, that once the Ghost is in hand, once we have the Cantina, once we have A New Hope mains, that's a huge thing the community has been begging for years, to make the mains. That's so cool. So as we continue moving forward into what looks like a promising 2025 lineup so far, maybe we can all breathe a little bit easier and find happier and maybe more constructive and collaborative ways to maybe engage this hobby just in a more fun way. So I don't know. I'm not trying to browbeat or lecture anyone because, I've been guilty of just being just an ass several times. But it was just kind of a tough year there. And it was kind of hard. I'm glad to be back and doing this. And I love chatting with you guys and all these folks here in the chat. It means a lot. And there's been a lot of things that have been very encouraging, even just recently. So I just kind of was not vibing with the year, and it's nice to hopefully get back in sync. So.
Yeah,
Agreed. The community sentiment seems to be that this year was hardly TVC's best year.
Yeah.
That's pretty widespread sentiment. Unfortunately, a lot of poor choices made this year. Something about this year seemed just particularly lazy and uninspiring and kind of phoned in. But you know, I have more to say about next year, but Lewis, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always said I look at the good in everything, and there's a lot of good stuff coming this year. But weirdly for me, most of it's probably coming about in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think over here in the
That's
UK,
a lot.
I know we always used to joke that over here, I used to get things early. We've had a really tough year, and I think again, Twin Sons was chatting to me the other day, and he pointed out that I think it took till August for us to get 4 new figures.
Oh,
And I
Good
mean,
Lord.
it's just, and I think, as a collector, we want to collect, we want to be fed products, and you need that drip feed just to keep you happy. It's just, these are the things we work for. This is why we find enjoyment in what we do. And I think that the hardest thing this year has just been a really weird kind of stagnant beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden we are now seeing things. But on top of that, as Tyler was saying, the decisions have not been great. There's not been some good things, and I think it's just felt a bit flat. I just think and trying to stay on some of the social medias and trying to stay positive and trying to be engaged has been hard at times, because especially when you're seeing people that are getting things months in advance and you're kind of thinking, oh, mine's months away. It's hard. So I think that's what I've struggled with the most this year, and I hope, again, going into next year, I'm hoping that pacing is just a bit more steady. I don't need to be the first to getting everything, but I just hate not getting anything.
Yeah.
Lewis, obviously you've had it worse than US collectors. Clearly, if you're going 8-9 months into the year and
Crazy.
finally getting stuff, but there was a huge dearth of product for the US too. And I think that one thing that Hasbro really needs to work on, and hopefully will get better. Hopefully, this isn't the first year that has happened. 2023 was the same way, if I recall. But what they need to do is space out the products better, right? There should be a consistent drip of product throughout the year. Number one, to keep people engaged with the line and keep them collecting. But also number two, I don't want to get a mountain of stuff dumped on me in the final quarter of the year.
Especially
It's
when you're charging it for a
expensive.
HasLab at the same time.
Yeah, dude, like you're making me pick and choose.
Yeah.
This is why I don't have the shrink pack yet, right? Just as an example, because you can't always pay for everything at the same time. Let's have some balance. Let's have some, a consistent schedule here. I just don't understand why they're, uh pushing everything so late in the year. It's not a good strategy. It's really not.
Yeah.
And I would just picking up on Nicholas H point there about obviously try collecting in Malaysia. Yeah, I feel for you. I really do. And I know some of our friends in, Australia or even Canada, I think, struggle at times. Mexico. I mean, some of those guys don't get things as easy as the rest of us do. So I feel for you. I really do. At least, I will say that much. We can get most things that are, offered over here.
Yeah. Toys are the way. Yeah. You wanna throw us some thoughts that you had here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a pretty general consensus that 2024 was a little frustrating when it comes to some of the figures and choices, but we did see some excellent world building things like the E-Wing, light cruiser hallways. All that stuff's been a lot of fun to take photos with, add it to our collections. We did get another HasLab victory. That is something to celebrate. Nice that we're keep knocking out those crowns, but I don't know. We also just need more citizens when it comes to all this world building and environment that they're starting to offer us. We need to be able to balance that with more, but also keeping up with all of the Star Wars content that's coming at us. We have Jod. Are we going to get any more characters from that? We still have to go back and get Merrick from Ahsoka. We're getting Balin and Shin, sure, but we've talked this tale so many times. The list goes on. So many things that we want to actually get into our collection. And then, I don't know, just circling back to the figures. I know the Mando fatigue is pretty rough for some people.
Yeah.
I knew season 3 would just be, here you go. Here's Bo-Katan with the new pauldron. Here's Din with his backpack. Here's a couple of guys who are painted differently. But those Shriek-Hawks, they were great. I will say that I have been a little bit disappointed with this mold that they're using. The articulation on this guy isn't that great. His leg is I don't know, just does not feel as good as some of the other figures. So, and I know there've been some hit and misses with other things. So like 88, we've talked about some of these things. So I just want them to spend a little bit more time, like really paying attention to those details.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
I agree. So you know what? Let's finally start wrapping up here by looking to the future. We got 2025 so far, and I just want to kick this off and say, looking at this, first off, I am over the moon that my most wanted figure, Obi-Wan Jedi Legend, is finally joining the line.
I'm happy for you, bud. So
thanks, man. It's awesome. Doesn't look perfect. I'm bummed that it's using the weirdly long legs and weird knees from the existing Showdown Obi-Wan, but what can you do? Indara and Yord are welcome surprises that I can't wait for. And I'm super stoked to see the progress that's being made on making the mains with the A New Hope heroes, while also having room in the line for new villains and new characters like Balin and Shin. Lots of lightsabery goodness on the horizon here, which, that's my jam. Touching on what you had said, Toys of the Way, with, and I think someone here had mentioned it in the comments as well, not having full slates of new media stuff, not staying relevant. That's been a huge bummer, and that's a huge detraction for the line in general for me. I would love to see a better balance of the new and the old. I'd love to see all new definitive versions of our classics like we're getting with the Make the Mains, but I'd also like there to still be room to get all new characters like the Stranger and Merrick and, Perdia Ezra, and just all of these really important things from across the saga. I've beat that drum many times where it's all Star Wars. I want it all for TVC. So yeah, I'm looking at this and I do feel pretty good with the spread here. I know there's mixed feelings on Return to Tatooine and whatnot, but just on its face, and then a couple surprises in here with the Howler, with the Heir to the Empire pack, that's cool. So yeah, how about you guys?
Yeah, for sure, Evan. I think 2025 already looks, we only have a snapshot at 2025, but it already looks much better with much more exciting offerings, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in 2024. But what I do know is that 2025 looks incredibly promising. Although there are a couple of duds for sure, like Dr. Evazan and Aura Singh.
For sure.
Aura is already worst figure of the year.
Yeah, she already won.
Like neither of those are acceptable releases at this point in 2024. Like neither one of them. But overall, though, some serious things to look forward to. Like you said, the A New Hope Make the Mains, the Snow Trooper, that was an incredible surprise. Balin and Shin, the Howler, the Heir to the Empire pack. I mean, man, it's already looking like a banger year. So I'm excited. I'm optimistic. It looks like we're on an upward trajectory after a rocky 2024. So
yeah. So yeah, Lewis.
Yeah, I think Balin and Shin are probably the two I'm most looking forward to there, although I'm a little bit nervous because we haven't seen them yet. So I'm really hoping that they are done well. I'm seriously looking forward to that Cantina as well. I mean, I have so many figures that can fill that thing. I'm really looking forward to setting that up when I get the chance to do that. So yeah, that's a big one for me as well. I think going forward, I'm sort of hoping to see more new media stuff. I would like to see more from Skeleton Crew. I would like to see perhaps Hasbro catch up with Andor. We've got Andor coming in April, I believe. Let's try and get some figures out for April. Again, I said it before, but it's nice to have something in hand while it's actually out. So let's try and hit that. I think, generally I'd like to see new media represented better. I know I always talk about this, and again, I do like the updates. I am pleased to see the New Hope stuff coming, but I want the new stuff as well, and I just think that's where we're missing out most. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing what we can get from the new stuff. But one other little thing aside, I'm also looking forward to is not having so many pipelines. I know we're sitting here looking at a load of pipelines. I know, Tyler, you think slightly differently, but I actually like the fact the Heir to the Empire set, that just came out, wham, out of nowhere. And I think it was just so exciting to see that just from nowhere. We didn't have it pipelined first. We didn't know it was coming. Same as the Howler, actually. I mean, a lot of these figures we're looking at here, the Snow Trooper, bam, it was just there. And I think that level of excitement that the community get by having something that's not been talked about, not been rumored at all. And also, it's not too far off. That Heir to the Empire set, we're talking about spring. We're not talking about waiting 18 months from when we first heard it.
Yes.
And again, talking about pacing earlier, I think that's a part of it, is that we hear about these figures so far in advance, whether it's for a pipeline and then perhaps you get the reveal and then you wait so much longer. And I think that the enthusiasm dies off for it to some degree. So I'd like to see this new approach, and I'm all for it. Just hit us with some new stuff when we're least expecting it, and bring some excitement back into collecting.
Yeah, still signal some things are coming, but but
I'm not against some pipelines,
yeah.
and I think Hasbro, they may have. I don't know if Steve Evans who said it or where it came from, whether it was officially we are not doing pipelines anymore. But
they said they were going to do less.
Do less, exactly. And I think recently they pipelined the retro set. So again, they're showing that they are still going to pipeline some stuff, and I'm fine with that. But
it's stuff like Balin and Shin, which I actually do think are absolutely apt to do as a pipeline, because the community the community demand is so strong, has been so loud for them. Balin and March Madness and Last Figure Standing for them, and as we drifted further away from the shows, people are like, what's going on, man? Why aren't you making the main villains from these things? Where it's like obvious main character stuff like that. It's like, yeah, dude, just let us know that we want that and that it's coming. So,
yes.
Or even going back a little bit, like Indara and Yord were pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly didn't think we were going to see any more figures from that. But
yeah.
So nice to, for fans of the Acolyte to actually know they're going to get more figures.
Yeah.
So pipelines are definitely warranted here and there, but I do understand where they're coming from, and seeing that, getting that excitement of like, bam, here's something that you guys might be really into.
Yeah. Well, keep going, Toys Are the Way, because you have a couple things on here as well.
Yeah, I mean, Balin and Shin, cannot say enough about that. I'm so relieved that we're actually getting those figures. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to look like.
Yeah.
I loved Ahsoka. What a great show. And that was something that's been missing from my life, to have these two characters on my shelf and something I could take photos of. So definitely looking forward to that. The New Hope mains, definitely looking forward to those. Just great to, go back and redo some of these figures that are way too out of date and stuff. So, but I would also like to see them do that, with prequel trilogy stuff, as we said, hoping that, that can just be covered over a lot of different media.
Yeah.
Definitely very excited for that Howler as well, because that is something I did not think we would actually ever see. It's such a random beast, and I did not think that was one we would ever see added to our collection. So definitely.
I agree.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Still awake?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, all right. I think we've said a lot. It's been almost 3 hours. So thank you, everybody who has tuned in and who's stayed tuned in. And if you're watching this on the replay, thanks for bearing with us. Hope you enjoyed it all. Just real quick before we go, I want to go around the room and just say, what are you up to and where can people find you on the internet, should they be so inclined? We'll start with you, Toys of the Way.
You can find me on YouTube or Instagram at Toys of the Way. Pretty simple.
And you were just recently a guest on Victoria's The Vintage Collection podcast, yes?
Yeah, we actually did an episode a little while back, and she just got that out there. So that was
Nice.
a good time, just talking TVC and potential things that we want to see in the future.
Sweet. Tyler?
Well, guys, this will be my last stream with this background here. Unfortunately, I'm moving, so I gotta tear everything down and pack it up and reset it all up somewhere else, probably with less space, sadly.
Yeah.
So next time I stream, it will look different back there. But I do want to say you all have a couple weeks to get your March Madness lists in order. Remember to two big things. Please prioritize new tooling, right? So if you ask for things like, Commander Cody, He's probably not going to be permitted into the tournament. All right.
Yeah.
Just giving you a little hint right there.
But he gets a new helmet.
Prioritize new tooling. All right. Like from the ground up, all new. Right. Number one. And number two, don't forget that the order that you put them in is super important. All right. For those points. It's not just a list from 1 to 25. You're ranking them through personal importance, and those translate to points, and that's what determines what gets into the tournament. So you guys have 2 weeks. Also, yes, please donate to Toys for Tots if you're able. Please help. Not necessarily with Lando's, all right? I don't know how well that's going to go over with the kids out there. But
if you can't donate toys, you can donate cash via our post, which obviously goes direct to them.
Yep, you can donate right on the post on our Instagram page, or you can go to the toysfortots.org and donate there. But if you're able, please donate. It's a wonderful cause. So
yeah,
thank you.
Agreed. And Lewis, how about you?
Yeah, obviously at Space Hut on Instagram. I've done very little toy photography over the last few months. I've got so much going on here at the moment. But yeah, I hope to get back into it soon. I know, as Tyler's saying, this may be the last time you see this behind me, because my new collection room is currently being built on the other side of the house. My eldest daughter is going to be going into that room for short time as a bedroom, and my other daughter is going to be coming here as short term for bedroom, because we're cutting the top of the house off. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But yeah, for the next few months, who knows where I'm going to be with a collection room. But yeah. We'll get there. 2025 is the year. It will be the new collection room.
I feel you. I've got a lot of they're doing renovations today, and it's still going on in my house. I'm fingers crossed all the renovations are, at least the hard, dirty stuff is done before all those ghosts arrive. Because good God, where am I going to put them? I might just have to sleep with them. Yes. So, and I didn't set this. I kind of set it up earlier, but here we go. This has been behind me the whole time. We got an E-Wing. We're giving this bad boy away, so stay tuned for more details. We'll be putting some info on Instagram at SWTVC. I'll figure out all the details for that. So if you want an awesome new E-Wing, you'll have an opportunity to get one for free. Who says that I'm a Grinch? We're good. So anyway, folks.
Thank you, Evan. Awesome.
Thank you,
Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. It's going back to me feeling disconnected and a little grumpy and discouraged by some folks and goings on in the community, and just kind of not vibing this year. It does feel good to be back and giving back and wanting to celebrate everybody that we're all brothers and sisters in arms in the trenches of collecting 3 3/4 inch. So it means a lot to have these support systems, have these relationships, and get to talk to cool people and see cool things. So anyway, I think that's it. We're almost at the 3-minute mark. I'm going to cut this off now before we go any longer. Toys Are the Way, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you. And then, we couldn't have...
always enjoy talking with y'all.
Thank you.
Always. You're always welcome here, man. And everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Make sure that you're all, subscribe to our channel here, like this video, tell all your friends about it, tell all your enemies if you so choose. We're here for it. It's fine. We'll probably be getting some more episodes of the podcast out soon, maybe not before the end of the year, but stay tuned for some live streams and podcasts as we get nearer to March Madness stuff. We'll be getting into the nitty gritty there. As always, everybody, keep 375 alive. Back TVC. Balance the scales. Hasbro. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year's. I love you all, and may the force be with you.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.